the weight on my shoulders. I feel the sky come down on me, and I can't hold it much longer. Gotta let go so I can be free. Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah.
About territory, let's run it on a Wednesday. It's ToddFather. It's trash. It's Tuesday. Did you miss us, ToddFather?
I do. I miss you guys all the time, man.
Yeah.
It's getting rough out there, and I got to go online and watch you guys.
Do you ever get pissed off about something in baseball and you're like, I wish I could just air it out right now with Kratz and AJ and Braun?
Yeah, a bunch of things. One being AJ's voice, but yeah, that's okay. I'll air him out any day of the week. But
you can quit at any time. No one's keeping you here. I mean, I'm here 4 days a week. You get one. You can leave any time.
Hey, I can't leave you. Then what would you do? You'd be upset, man.
Yeah, exactly.
No, then I get to yell at Scott. I get to yell at Scott.
Yeah, that's not as fun, though. I didn't play the damn game. So
Yeah.
You try, though.
I did not try.
No, you try.
I try what?
To act like you did sometimes.
No, I don't.
Yes, you do sometimes.
I agree, AJ. I agree.
Sometimes you do.
Kratzy has my back.
I don't agree.
Not once will I ever say I can even touch a fucking bit. This is the most I'll do with a baseball.
I'm not talking about like, oh, I can hit. No, I'm saying you say something.
What, by giving opinions?
Yeah, I mean, you kind of.
I'm giving the fan opinion. That's what I'm here for.
I didn't play, but, anything you say before
Yes,
but is
yes.
bull crap.
Point it out next time.
Yeah, but there's got.
Okay, next time you say
Scotty's a professional. He's a professional fan.
Oh, professional.
Exactly.
Oh.
I am a professional fan and a professional bettor. That is all I'm here for.
You're more of a professional gambler than a fan.
No, I'm both.
Okay.
And many fans are both.
That's
so
true.
I will say the one thing I have with Kratzy, because I wanted you to be on for it yesterday before we dive into news. Oh, and also Ryan Helsley from the Cardinals joining us. Can't wait. Blake Zeff, who writes the Mets Fix newsletter. It's kind of like a blog that people get every day. So he covers the team every day. He's going to join us for what I called a Mets therapy session with him. And then Lucy Burdge to help us with our bets.
So the Mets guy, man, there's a lot going on.
There's a lot going on.
There's a lot we can dig into with the Mets. Right?
Todd, give me 20 seconds. Give me 20 seconds.
Oh, gosh.
The only other thing I wanted to say was, because I'm probably not going to have time for this any other place, Pirates lose again. They've lost 8 of 9. The Rockies have won 7 of 9. But I wanted to do it at a time when Kratzy was here, because I know you were out for the last 20 minutes of the show yesterday, Kratzy, but they're not good.
They got 2 runs over, the last 9, 2 or less runs in the last 9 games. I'll give you another stat. There you go. Watch out, man.
They lost 10-1 yesterday.
Kratzy.
And here's my thing.
They're up 1-0 right now, though. They're up 1-0.
Wait, this is very simple, okay? They did something that if they did it in July, it would be like, cool, they're already 15 under. You know what I'm saying? This is the getting excited too early shit that happens every year. Mm-hmm. I remember, I'll give you one more example. I remember because I hosted the Rundown on MLB for years with Kelly Nash and then eventually with Alexa Dat. And I remember there was one year the Rockies started 20-10. And I was like, Alexa, they're terrible. And I couldn't full on go after them all day, every day, because they were a little limited with how we could talk. But every day, before the show, because she was like, I'm telling you, they're going to be good this year. And I was like, no. This wasn't during their playoff run. This was after that. I was like, I promise you they're not good. It's April. And it played out. So just wanted to say that. That's all. Kratzy, any thoughts?
No, I've talked to plenty of Rockies. You brought it up. Rockies are a great example. The season never really starts until the Rockies lose to the Dodgers. That is, that's when you get into the flow of the season. Some teams win when it's cold. Some hitters don't hit when it's cold. Now we're in May. And to me, this is why, this show is great, because we can't just sit here and be like, the Pirates are going to lose. Pirates are going to lose. Just wait for it. Pirates are going to lose. Why are they going to lose? What is the reason why they're going to lose? And hey, you know what? Pirates, make this change and you won't lose. But I promise having utility shortstops and a pitching staff that is below average is not going to work out for the long haul. Let's put it that way.
Mitch Keller's been good now. Mitch Keller has been good.
Great.
Mitch Keller's great. We talked about that yesterday. We gave them a lot of love. So,
but after that, it's Vince Velasquez and
that water levels out. Charlie Manuel always said it. Water levels out.
Hell yeah. And it's only early May. Oviedo.
Oh,
No.
Oviedo, the guy that St. Louis got rid of.
Randy Contreras.
Who?
Mm.
You don't like Randy
He's
Contreras?
a great position player. Just kidding.
You're going to make it seem like
But
you don't know
I
the
know.
game.
I know.
Did you even play the game?
Yeah. Sometimes. I know who Ramsey Contreras is.
You say Ramsey?
Ramsey.
What do you say?
Ramsey.
Sorry.
Roansy.
Sorry, Roansy.
You're thinking of Ramsey, the chef. It's okay. It happens.
Yeah.
Roansy.
Roansy.
That's why when I do games, I let the play-by-play guy say the hard names.
That's the smart
I
stuff.
pick the first or last, and that way, hey, Contreras pitching great today for the Pirates.
Yes.
I used to do that for hockey when I would host NHL Network. I would just say the first or last name, and sometimes I wouldn't even do that if it was too wacky.
Use the
I would
number.
just be
Hey,
like,
89 just scored a goal.
Panthers are on the board. And then the Kevin Weeks or Mike Rupp or one of these guys would jump in and be like, Mershnikov, he was great on that play. I'm like, yes, he was. Anyway, one more thing. FoulTerritoryShop.com for hat, shirt situation. We already had to do a little restocking.
By the way, it's Foul Territory Show.
No, that's not true.
Oh, not?
It's both.
Oh, so we've upgraded.
We have both sites.
All right.
Foul Territory Show takes you to the show. Within that, you can click on shop, or if you want a shortcut, which I'm all about making everyone's lives easier, FoulTerritoryShop.com.
Yes.
Now, Mets, go ahead.
Now Mets?
Let's charge the damn mound, shall we? And let's start with, okay, I'll give you an option. Either Scherzer injury or how much they suck right now against bad teams, too, in Rockies, Tigers, and now Reds.
Yeah, they're killing their I don't want to say they're killing their season, but they're killing their start. The Rockies, Tigers, Mets, those are the teams you say.
Reds, not Mets. You said
Sorry.
Mets.
Rockies, yeah.
I got
Reds, Mets. They're both about the
just
same.
for the
right now.
trolls. I'm
They're
just clarifying.
both troll away. They're both the same right now. The problem is the Mets are supposed to be this team that beats up on these teams. You look at with Scherzer, Verlander, their whole team, and then their lineup, they're supposed to be the team that takes these lesser teams down. And guess what? These lesser teams are getting hot against them. So maybe we overvalued the Mets, but the Mets have weird injuries. Scherzer with his neck. Scherzer missed 10 games with the rosin. Quintana goes down. Carrasco is not there. Lindor hasn't hit this year. It's just been like, man, what is wrong? Frazier, you're around the Mets all the time. Like, Mets are going to Met. We always say it, but, man, they're Metting hard this year.
Yeah, I just, they're not sinking. It's weird. I watched actually watched yesterday. I was cleaning the dishes. I was doing something productive. And I was watching the game, and I'm like, man, it just seems like no energy. Everybody's down. An injury happens here or there. It's just frustrating. There's no answer to it because I've played for the Mets, and there's always been something, whether it's a media having a problem or a player having a problem. And now you're losing to teams that you should be beating. It's frustrating, man. Up in Queens, I don't know what the answer is. Another injury happened with Scherzer. Is it going to be long term? Hopefully not. But when you're playing in Cincinnati, I always tell guys, when you're playing Colorado, you're playing Cincinnati. I always tell Pete, I'm like, listen, you don't come home with 2 or 3 homers, man. You're doing yourself an injustice. So be ready. He's got 1, but they got to win these games too, man. So it's very frustrating. Teams are just piling on runs against them, and that's probably the most frustrating part of it. 7+ runs in these last couple games. That's probably the most frustrating part. So Yacobonis went down. Another injury. So how are we going to pinpoint it? Buck Showalter got thrown out yesterday. Was he trying to spark plug the team? So, Eric, I don't know the answer right now.
Yeah, I mean, that is the age-old question. When you spend $353 million and you just expect it to happen, that's not how it works. The game, like, Escobar is going to go through struggles. Beatty can't catch the ball and they're not calling prospects up. They're still having issues with like anybody but Alonso, like doing something. Everybody has, I think I said it about a week ago. Everybody there has to do what they came to do, whether it's bring energy, whether it's be a home run threat, whether it's a on-base guy like Nimmo. And when they try to pick up the slack from other guys, you get frustrated because you're like, oh man, like I tried to take a power swing when I shouldn't have, tried to take a extra base when that's not my game. And I think they're built to be a good team. I think they've gone through some like schedule issues too with that whole week. And I completely agree with you. Like the whole no life thing, they came back last night. They didn't quite finish the deal. So I feel like there's some momentum there. They're still about a 500 team. And anytime you go through a struggle and your struggle is right at 500, 2 games under, I think they're 17 and 19. To me, they're a team that's still on the up. But the run differential is going to tell you it's not. Like their pitching staff really is what needs to pick it up.
Well, the problem is they're already 8 games behind the Braves, who, me included, considers probably the best team in the National League. If not, them and the Rays are probably the best 2 teams in baseball right now. The Mets are going to have a hard time catching the Braves because they don't play them 19 times. They've already played 1 series against them. The other problem is when you play the Rockies, you play the Reds, you play the Tigers, these are the teams, like Todd said, you circle on the schedule and say, man, we got to win 2 out of 3, if not sweep these. And I know there was double headers involved, but still, like if you're a $300 million Met team that's supposed to go to the World Series and make Steve Cohen this greatest owner of all time, you got to step it up. And I'm not there. I don't know what's going on every day, but man, it just seems like Buck. You bring in Buck, right? Because I forget the guy. What was his name? The guy who was manager before. So they bring in Buck because he wasn't the answer. Rojas, sorry. And then you bring in Lindor. Alonso was there, but you bring in Scherzer. You bring in Verlander. You bring in Ottavino. You bring in Narvaez. You bring in Escobar. You bring in Quintana.
Resign Nimmo.
Resign McNeil.
Last year.
All these guys, right? And where are they? They're a 500 team. In the second half of last year, let's not forget, they weren't very good either. They limped into the playoffs, got early exited. What are they? Maybe they're just not that good as a unit. Now, individually, but for some reason, there's missing something. Maybe they need Kratz to come in there and trip and fall in introductions. I don't know. I'll do it.
Listen, Atlanta's running away with it right now. Everybody, it's early. I don't care I don't believe in early, man. You look back, I said it before. You look back at the end of the year and you're 2 games out of getting a wild card. You're 2 games out of winning a division. Well, look back at your year. I mean, what happened? Well, we lost a game. There's usually 5 to 8 games, which in my opinion, that you look back like, damn, we should have won those games. We were up 2 in the last inning, we gave it up. Or, an error, whatever. There's 5 to 8 games, in my opinion, that you look back where we should have won those. But then there's other games like now where it's like, what are we doing? And they're 8 games out right now, dude. That's a lot of games. I know people say it's early. It's the second month. But 8 turns into 12. 12 turns into 15. And then you're stuck, at the end of the day. So you have to figure it out now. I don't care what anybody, it's early. No, it's not early. Put that out of the window. Every one of these games count, and you gotta win 2 out of 3 from these teams that you're supposed to beat.
I have a buddy who I was texting this morning who's watched every Mets game since he can remember. Every one, even when they're terrible. And he said, this team feels unwatchable. It's some of the most uninspired baseball I've ever seen. That resonated with me because he's watched awful teams in the past at times. He will stick through it and watch 162. This isn't an awful team. And on paper, It should be a good team, if not a very good team. So when I hear that, and for me, admittedly, I'm watching all 30 equally, especially right now. Will I watch maybe a few less Rockies or Tigers or whatever? Sure, to an extent. But for the most part, I'm watching Mets just as equally as everyone else. So I'm not watching every single pitch and second. Getting that from someone who that's a problem.
It's a big deal.
Yeah, because we crushed the White Sox for that. Or the Mets flying under the radar for that.
Uninspired is what you don't want to hear from a fan base. Because the fans expect when they see you play and they see you show up to the park every day, they pay their hard-earned money, they expect you to give them a show, even if you lose. But give them something. Give them hey, I want to really be here. I want to play for the Mets. And if the fans are saying that, as Yogi Berra said, it's getting late early, boys. And you're 8 back of the Braves. They ain't slowing down. And the Phillies haven't gotten hot yet. They're supposed to be there. The Marlins are ahead of them. But the other thing you have is the other teams, Arizona, San Diego are both supposed to be good, right? I know there's 3 wild cards. So you have the 3 division winners. But then San Diego is probably going to get one of the wild cards. Another NL East team.
Or the Dodgers. Don't call that division yet. I know what you're saying.
Right now the Dodgers are ahead. But San Diego's probably going to get one.
Yep.
Another East team is going to get one. So there's one spot open. And that comes down to maybe Arizona, maybe the Cubs, maybe Milwaukee, depending on who wins the division, maybe the Cardinals if they get hot. So there's not a lot of room there. It's probably worse in the American League than it is in the National League. But there's not a lot of scenarios where if they hover around 500, then, we're going to win 8 of our last 10 to sneak in. But then you lose in the first round. Like that's a bad year for the Mets with the expectations.
Unless your starting staff is set up well and suddenly Scherzer and Verlander are clicking.
But if you're at the end of the year and you have to win 8 out of 10, usually you're fighting till the last day. So you have to just pitch your guys wherever they line up. You don't get to sit back and say, hey, we got a 10-game lead, boys. Let's rest Scherzer and Verlander. First of all, Verlander's pitched once this year.
Pitches today.
But Scherzer's been in and out with variety of stuff.
He's got neck spasms. And the quote that stood out to me from him was, I'm trying like hell not to join the IL, which also rhymed. So props to Max. I'm sure he wasn't thinking about that, but he has a 5.5 ERA in his 5 starts. He had to miss about 2 weeks with the bullshit that has been well documented on this show. But teams lost 7 of 8. It revolves around Scherzer and Verlander. I was thinking about this morning. I go, what's the identity of the Mets? The identity of the Mets is run prevention, which really you would have looked at Scherzer, Verlander. Those should be win days most of the time, and Diaz is closing things out. Well, Diaz is out for the year. But still, I look at the team. What's the identity? To me, it's Scherzer, Verlander. Right? Like we talked about the Red Sox a lot yesterday.
Pitching.
Built on starting pitching.
Those guys were supposed to be kind of the glue, right?
And their offense is overrated in my mind. It's okay. It's a little bit top heavy to me. Defense, okay.
Defense has always been kind of a problem there.
Yes.
A little bit of a problem. Marte's not having a good start. Lindor hasn't had a good start. The Beatty's, like Kratz said, it's offensively he's been okay. Defensively he's been bad. Nimmo's been good.
Escobar's fallen off.
McNeil's been okay. Alonso's hit homer or nothing, which he always is.
But he's the only one. You got to have another threat in the lineup.
I agree. Especially
which can be Lindor at times. Yeah.
It can be when he gets going, but man, it seems like it's taking him a long time every year to get going now.
It's probably.
Todd, you live there. You know Mets fans.
I
It's a tough existence. Mets, Jets, bro.
It's bad.
So to hear your guys say, they're uninspired. This is the Mets. This is the Mets fans. I wouldn't put too much. I got a buddy, really good friend, who's a Mets fan, and he's like, he's living high in the offseason because they're spending $350. Then they go and get Correa, and then they lose Correa, and then this is the time of year Mets fans are like, this is not going to go well. And then mid-July, they coughed up the lead to the Braves last year. Or it was June, maybe. I think the Braves were in the exact opposite situation last year as the Mets. The Mets were like 10+ up, and they started coughing that lead up. And then by the end of the season, they have to, as a team, rewrite that narrative and as an organization. And I think Steve Cohen's brought in the team that should rewrite that. But it's up to the boys on the field and Buck Showalter to kind of get out of his own way in the sense of if Beatty is hot and he may not be, he might be a defensive liability, move him up in the order. Alvarez has been swinging pretty well. Move him up in the order. And if you don't like Beatty's defense, boom, he gets his 3rd, 4th at bat. Defensive replacement. I know it's not something you do with a rookie, but look, this isn't a team that's looking to grow rookies. They're looking to win. And if the rookie's playing the best, put him up there. That dude's got a great swing. Maybe a best swing, left-handed swing for a Met prospect since, wait for this one, Mike Jacobs.
I like the look you just made there. You gave like, hey,
Jacobs.
Mike Jacobs hit homers and punched out a lot.
What a great swing. I never said he was a great player. I said great swing. Beautiful
Why? Because it was
swing.
long?
Why? Because it was really long and up.
Yeah.
Super long.
Scott.
Sounded awesome. He had the perfect shades on. Craig Brazel, another great Met prospect.
I think you're going to bust out like a Dom Smith.
I'll leave it at. I like Dom. Dom is a good dude. Hey, last thing I'll say about this, and I'll leave it at this. Mets fans, everything is blown up out of proportion. So you got to take it for what it's worth. But at the same time, fans, they're used to it. Like they forget in 15 they had that shot and they almost won it, and like we're gonna lose again. Like the uninspiring thing, they use some SAT words in there, not even uninspiring, like other words that are going to be like, wow, I didn't even know that was a word. So that's what they do. They blow it up out of proportion of what they really think, but they're going to watch every single night the team. They're going to yell at the TV just like every other fan, but for some reason it's the Mets and they want to blow it up even bigger. So take what they say, but don't take it too far.
Yeah, no, they were freaking out before losing 7 of 8. Most Mets fans were like, when they were like 4-4 in their last 8, they're like, worst team ever. This team's terrible. So, by the way, was I allowed to say Mike Jacobs had a long swing, or does that make it like I played?
That makes it like you.
That was a little pitching coach.
Really?
That makes you a scout.
That was honesty. That was honesty because he had a long swing.
He had a long-ass swing. So I was doing the check, just making sure. I just want to clarify.
I'm Scout Scotty Braun.
Yeah. Well, let me give you a little analysis.
I did the rundown once or twice.
Yeah, exactly, which means nothing. I just smiled. It was there to smile and have my hair high as could be. Let me get a little analysis on Noah Syndergaard's finger. Did you see it?
Wait, another Met. Oh, my goodness.
Former Met.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
yes.
no, you know what I mean.
Of course. Bill Plunkett, Orange County Register. Dave Roberts said an IL move with Syndergaard is, quote, a possibility. We'll know more in the next couple days. We want to give Noah and the training staff some time before we make that decision about his next start. And this is one of those times where if you're just listening to the podcast, I advise you to check out the YouTube version later on when you're not driving.
That's the worst one I've ever seen.
That looks bad.
I mean, I've seen them. I've seen guys with the blood under the tip of the finger from the seams, and I've seen guys in the corners of their fingers right here where they get the blister. It's usually the middle finger, one of the corners from the way they hold the ball and they press them. But that one looks like, because they get it on the tip of their fingers, either one from the seams and it's dry, so it's a little bit sticky, so it kind of catches a lot. But that looked like not only was it bubbled up, but it had burst already, and it takes a while to heal. And people say, just put some new skin on it, the stuff that like covers it, but it never goes away because the next time you pitch, guess what? You're warming up in the bullpen and it goes rips again. So it takes a while to get rid of those.
That's a good one. That was I saw it. I saw it when I was watching the highlights, and that picture right there shows you the guy. I don't think that happened just today. I think it was something that was happening. And to me, I look at it, especially where it was at on his index finger. Normally, like AJ said, you get it in like the corner, the nail kind of bends back. Some guys will get it weird, like they'll get it like on their thumb or something. But that one, it makes me think, and I want to look it up here while we're talking, but it makes me wonder, like, is he throwing his sinker differently now that he went to the Dodgers? You know, you go to the Dodgers, you go to the Rays, you go to the Brewers, and, you know, they switch something in your pitching, and now all of a sudden you're using this. You know, what's the Dodgers formula? I wonder if it has something to do with that because, you know, and maybe he's been a blister guy for a while, but it's weird to see it where it is, and maybe he's used to it. But that was sick.
Every time you put on a baseball, every time you put pressure, well, you're gonna have pressure no matter what. You know, fastball, it's gonna push here. Curveball, it's gonna push on the side. Change up, it's gonna get the other side. So now that's like an IL stint, if I'd have to say so, to be honest with you, to let this thing heal. That's going to take a couple of weeks, I would assume, at least. You know,
I haven't seen that much blood on a pitcher's hand since that time Trevor Bauer cut his fingers with the drone. Remember, and he was pitching in Toronto, and his pants were covered with blood, and he was trying to pitch, and they kept showing it just dripping down his hand.
Yes. Good call.
Good move, Trevor. That was a good decision.
Well, let's get some analysis on the blister, and we can even show the picture again. Let's bring in one of our regulars. Ryan Helsley, closer for the St. Louis Cardinals, back on FT Live. Ryan, good to see you, man. Have you ever had a blister, by the way?
Not really. I get it under my pointer finger some, under the nail. I spiked my curveball. I got it more as a starter, not too much in the bullpen because I'm not throwing as many pitches, but I would get a blood blister under my nail from kind of putting pressure on that finger if I threw my curveball a lot, early in the season.
Have you seen the Syndergaard blister that popped up yesterday for him? No? All right, we got it for you. Look at that.
Goodness.
That's about as these guys said, as bad as it looks, right? He's missing a
It looks
finger.
like he took it to a cheese grater.
Yeah, pretty much.
Looks like he needs to get one of those hot needles and pop it and squirt up to the ceiling like they do when the blood gets under your toenail and they take the needle and. So I take it, Ryan, you pee on your hands a lot then if you don't have blisters anymore, like Moises Alou to make sure you don't get the blisters.
I don't think I pee on my hands too much. I try not to, at least.
Not too much.
Listen, peeing takes care of a lot of things. You're in the shower, you got athlete's foot, you're supposed to pee on your feet, pickle juice, all that kind of jazz. So, as a pitcher, do you have any quirks that you do? Not like that, but before a game, are you superstitious at all? Is there anything you like to go to? You listen to music?
Not really, man. Most of the time for me, I have still a couple hours until I'm in the game. So I'm still, when the game starts, I'm usually getting ready, doing some rolling out and, kind of prepping to get ready for the, back end of the game. I'm not really too superstitious though.
You don't pound like a couple Red Bulls like my boy Tommy Canley used to do?
No, I don't drink any Red Bulls actually. I'll drink some coffee early in the day, but I try not to get too high on the caffeine.
Nice.
Back to that blister. How, if you were to sit here and go okay, you saw where the blister was on his index finger, but on the top, is there ever a pitch where you're like, hey, you know what? The Cardinals want me to change this and I'm trying to throw a pitch and all of a sudden, I'm starting to feel something, maybe elbow or maybe blister. Because I'm just shooting completely in the dark and I figure, hey, what if he's trying, a new pitch, trying to push a little more pressure on that index finger to get a little bit more sink or a little more run, whatever the Dodgers want.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never seen a blister quite that bad. Maybe he was trying a new grip, like you said. That would make sense. I know a lot of guys get blisters early on in spring because you get down to Florida and you haven't been throwing with the same intensity or as often, and you get down there in the heat and start sweating, and the skin can get soft, and that's definitely a possibility. Maybe he did change his grip. I don't know. It'd be interesting to see what happened.
And I wanted to make sure everybody noticed it because the fans, they said you try not to pee on your hands. So there's two people in the world. There's people who wash their hands before they go to the bathroom because they don't want to get anything dirty down there. And there's people who wash their hands afterwards because they can't control what's going on. So which are you?
Usually after. I don't think I ever really think about washing my hands before.
Now think about it, okay?
Now he's going to think
go
about
ahead,
it.
Kratz, because I have a comment on this one when you're done. Go ahead.
No, that's it. Just think about it.
No, my comment is when you go to the bathroom, I'm not saying the number 2 problem, but when you go, because you have to take care of other things. But when you have a number 1 problem, you just go pee.
Yeah.
You took a shower usually, and you put clothes on, so everything down there should be clean.
Yeah.
And if you don't pee on your hands have touched everything, right? So shouldn't you wash there instead of washing your hands after you pee? Because your hands are dirty, you're touching a clean part of your body.
Yep.
You don't get it. It's okay. Ryan, you understand.
I'm lost. Ryan?
So when you wake up in the morning, you take a shower. Okay, you take a shower. Let's say you, after the game, you take a shower, you clean your body. Okay? Then you're like, oh man, I have to go pee in the Wrigley Field urinal.
Yeah.
So you walk over to the urinal. Your hands have already touched everything after taking a shower. The towels, the soap, the dispenser, whatever. You combed your hair. People have touched the comb. You go over and you go down and you pee. You
Right.
touch your private areas.
Right.
And then, but your hands are dirty, but your private areas are clean. So shouldn't you have to wash your private areas instead of your hands?
Well, or you do what Kratz said and you do the wash before
There
and
you
I
go.
guess a wash after. I don't know. That's news to me. My
Think
hands
about
don't
it,
get
Ryan.
that dirty. So,
Ryan,
Ryan, what did I come
surprised.
into?
I'm surprised
Ryan's thinking
he's
like,
still
wait a
here
minute.
right now.
I was thinking it's Ryan's like, well, guys, I'm out of here. But hey,
Yeah, I gotta get to Wrigley and
early
get some
bus.
McDonald's.
Sorry, AJ, you're weird. Gotta go.
Ryan, let's get back to baseball talk, man. I've been on some teams where they go in spurts. They got some really good winning sides, like a 15-2 or 15-5, and then you got some really downsides like a 2-10. Man, how's the clubhouse doing right now? We just brought it up. We talk about early. There's no such thing as early to me. You know, when there's struggles going on, there's problems. Is the clubhouse vibe still clicking? What's going on in clubhouse there in St. Louis?
Yeah, it feels good. I think everybody's got the right mindset. I mean, like you said, it's, when you go through a slump, it never feels good no matter what time it is in the season. You show up every day to win. You're not up there to lose. You're away from family, and you're out there grinding every day, so you're not trying to waste your time by no means. So you're out there trying to win every day. But, I mean, guys got good vibes right now. We're feeling good. Everybody's in a good mindset, and just trying to take it one day at a time and hopefully take it in the other direction.
What changed? Was it getting on the road? Because a lot of times you get on the road, and I know St. Louis is a great fan base. They cheer everything, but there was some boos there in St. Louis, which I've never seen before. Sometimes as a team, you got to get on the road and say, okay, we're tighter because everyone is against us. So to getting into Chicago, going in there, into Wrigley, where they obviously don't like the Cardinals very much, does that help?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, like you said, you're on the road and you're around your boys more, and you can go out there and compete. And obviously, we needed some wins pretty badly for how we started. And I think Wilson coming back too kind of got the boys fired up because obviously he wants to win and wants to go out there and play well for us and put on a show for the Wrigley fans. So I mean, it's been an exciting first two series. We got a good matchup tonight too, and excited to see how long we can go.
Now,
How much?
Oh, go ahead, Scott.
I was just gonna say, how much did Wilson enjoy doing that in front of the Cubs faithful? Like I'm big on the villain role, so like I love how Nando embraces the crowd on the road now. Tatis Jr. like he knows he's gonna get the boos. Contreras gets all the love pregame, first AB, and then they're like, okay, we don't like you anymore because you're a Cardinal, and he's like, let's freaking go.
Yeah, he's a fiery dude anyway. He's got a lot of energy. He's really passionate, wants to win, and he's always ready to go. When he came in there, you could tell there was something different about him. He really wanted to win and put on a good show. And he talked to him after the game. He was like, dude, just kind of happy. He was so fired up in the moment, and it was fun to watch him have a good game out there.
So how do you sit there and you watch that, and then you feel like maybe some people in the organization are throwing him under the bus? Like how do you guys handle that? Especially you're a closer, you're a leader on this team that guys are looking to, just like he is.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, with him, being a guy for us in spring, and he didn't go to the WBC to stay with us and learn his teammates, which was huge for us, and because he very easily could have went and spent his time elsewhere. But I'm glad to have him. I think whatever the differences have been so far, we can definitely handle those and get on the right page. And I think he's going to be a great catcher for us, obviously for the next 5 years that we have him. And I think just with him getting back there more and guys feeling like they're on the same page with him and getting more comfortable with each other, I think is what's going to need to happen for that to kind of turn.
Do you feel like some of it has to be on you as a pitcher? Some of it has to be on the staff, connecting, because Yadi was so much, we talked about it on this show, and I think you even kind of mentioned it earlier, how Yadi was like, he was a fixture. You could sometimes roll up, and I told a story about a pitcher one time who they called a curveball, and he's like, I don't even have a curveball. Like, if Wilson does that and Yadi does that, you might be like, all right, well, I used to throw a curveball back in high school. I might turn it. How do you guys pick that up and take some of that ownership as pitchers and as coaching staff? Because to me, I think Yadi took some of that stuff away from coaching staff or, maybe scouts. And so what are things that you can do to pick that up?
Yeah, for sure. You got to take ownership. The ball's in your hand and you can throw whatever pitch you want. It's not on the catcher. Those are just merely suggestions, even though now at the pitch clock, it's a lot harder to kind of get to the pitch you want sometimes. But, even if you throw a guy the same pitch 3 or 4 times in a row, most of the time, if you can execute it, you're probably still going to get an out, and I think too much of the blame probably goes on the catcher. I think that, for me especially, I had a game in San Fran. I walked off through on homer and was soft the whole at bat, and left the best one he's seen right down the middle of the plate. And obviously at this level, guys aren't going to miss too much, so that's definitely on me. Or I think is, a lot of people are like, oh, well, why didn't he call a fastball there? But tomato, you could take it both ways. And Yachty was different. He definitely spoiled us. Coming up, made it easier on me. Not having to really think a whole lot out there, and he's just different. It's the only way to explain it. And he was so good at catching. I throw upper 90s, 100 most of the time. And in 21, I was messing with the 2-seam a little bit, and I'd ask him, like, hey, do you want to call like a sinker or 4-seam, to separate it, because they got different action. And he's like, no, just throw it, I'll catch it. So you got 100 going up 20 inches versus a 2-seam at 98, going 20 inches the other way, and he was like, I'll catch it. That's just how good he was. And he was a freak. He was different, and we're definitely spoiled by him. But I think Wilson cares and wants to be the best he can be for us, and wants to win for the St. Louis Cardinals and win for his teammates. So I think he's going to be good for us down the stretch.
Do you use pitchcom? Have you experimented with pitchcom? Is it on your glove or your belt, and you can call your own pitches?
No, I don't have it out there. I just have the thing in my hat up in the seal there.
Have you thought about it though? Because you mentioned the clock, so you can just go do 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 do, and then Kinzer or Contreras or whoever's catching can hear you, and that way you don't have to worry about shaking.
Yeah, I've definitely thought about it. I've never played with it, so I definitely have to practice with it and mess with it a little bit. Could be a possibility, something I'll have to look into. But I like our catchers. I like their game plan. We have meetings just about every day. We have good game plans, and I like to follow them. And obviously, if I don't like what they call, then I'll shake. And if I got to shake more than once now, I'll try to get the sign a little earlier so I can get the pitch off.
You afraid using that pitchcom where it's in your hat that you're going to go into a stadium? This is my theory, that some stadium is going to figure out how to just get the crowd absolutely ruckus, and now you can't hear it. Are you afraid you're going to get a pitch violation or a timer violation later in the game? And if so, how are you going to combat that if you start going into a place that has figured it out as fans, oh, he can't hear anything?
Yeah, maybe have a sign with the catcher, I guess, to just start putting down some fingers. I guess is the only way to fix it in the moment, especially if the place is that loud. Those pitch comms get really loud, though, so fortunately so far I haven't had any trouble with it. I usually keep it actually on the lower side because it gets so loud. I feel like sometimes that thing spouts it out so loud the hitters can almost hear it sometimes.
Have you ever – that was always my wonder about the pitchcom is it ever – say you're in Oakland and there's 2,500 people and you're pitching in the ninth inning and all of a sudden the catcher types it in and it goes fastball away and the hitter – I always thought that there might be an opportunity in a stadium where it's quiet. Maybe the hitter can hear. That's what he's saying.
Hear?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or a first base coach or, I don't know, a base runner or something I don't know.
It's
the
pretty
pitch
loud.
com to me is – have you had the timeout yet where the pitch clock's getting down, you're set and you're like, step off and you're like, oh, you give it the old fake, like, oh, I can't hear the thing, the pitch timer.
No, I haven't used that one yet. I don't know. I'm too caught up in the moment usually in the ninth inning to really think about, trying to finagle the pitch clock like that. Too worried about getting the pitch off.
Hey, these are things you got to worry about now. You got to think about how to trick it all the time.
These catchers, he's just grip it and let's fucking go.
Yeah, but you're sad and I can't hear. I don't know.
That sounds like a you thing.
There
are some pitchers I think that have done it this year, because there also are problems with the pitch comm, especially early in games. That'll happen. So it's a free timeout. Use it. It's a tech timeout. I have a question for you, Ryan. So teams won 3 in a row. On Sunday, you pitched, because I know you didn't pitch last night. Gallegos closed it out because I think you did back-to-back, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Sunday you come in, it's 12-6. And I didn't get to watch that whole game. I'm bouncing around. So was it one of those, hey, we got to stop this shit right now? This is like a save. Did it feel that way, even though it was a 6-run game? Because sometimes some closers can't get amped for that 6-run lead, the non-save shit. But that felt like a save, didn't it?
Yeah, they hit it late, 2-run homer to put us up by 6. And I kind of, there for a second, thought that I might not go in, but I was like, we haven't won a game in I don't even know how long. So I was like, I'm definitely going in this game still. But I just try to treat every outing the same, whether I come in the 7th or 8th or even the 9th, whether it's a safe situation or not, so those moments don't get too big and I can try to be the same guy, majority of the time when I'm out there.
Ryan, who's closing? What determines, I've seen Gallegos come in and try to close. You've had saves. You've closed games. What I thought, honestly, I thought you were the closer,
He
right?
is.
But Gallegos has come in.
But
and
he
blown.
was doing back-to-back.
No, I know, but I'm saying, but there's other times where he hasn't come in and it's been Gallegos. There was one he blew. I don't know against who it was, but he blew one the other day. And it wasn't Ryan. It was Gallegos.
Yes.
So I'm wondering, you're the closer, correct, of the Cardinals?
Yeah, I mean, I would think so. Yeah, but sometimes.
Okay, I mean, I would hope so. I would think so too.
If there's guys on base, they'll talk to me pregame or even during the game. Like, hey, if 2 runners get on the 7th or 8th, even, or this part of the lineup comes up in the 7th or 8th with guys on, then you're probably going to have them to try to shut it down, and then we might extend you into the 8th or whatever. So it's kind of like an ongoing conversation of how they want to use me for that day.
So you move around. You don't always. You're not the traditional. Let's say Trevor Hoffman, because of Hell's Bells that we talked about.
Right.
You're not the traditional. I'm only getting 3 outs in the 9th, or Josh Hader now is kind of the guy. So they'll pitch you. They'll come to you before the game, because this is always interesting to me because of the analytics stuff. People say, "Oh, well, you use your closer in the 7th inning to get the 3 outs, and then you figure out the 8th and the 9th, or you pitch them in the 8th." Right. So that's how they've kind of come to you and said, "Hey, we're going to use you when we can best deploy you, not necessarily get the 3 outs in the 9th."
Yeah, definitely do that a lot. It's not an everyday thing, but they definitely do that a lot. Like usually like 2, 3, 4 guys, if they come up in the 8th, they're like, well, hey, we want you to go in the 8th instead of the 9th. Instead of facing the bottom third, we want you to face the heart of the order and, get those outs for us. Did that a lot last year and kind of continued to do that on this year, and kind of hurts the save opportunities, but, still big moments nonetheless.
Also, I will just say the analytics stuff. No, you're just looking at the lineup card going, okay, 3, 4, 5 is up. It's the 8th inning. We're up a run.
Yeah, but forever it didn't matter. You had your 7th inning guy, your 8th inning guy, your 9th inning guy.
Right. I don't think that is, but is that an analytics thing? Like where you're just looking at the lineup sometimes and saying, okay, 3, 4, 5 is a top heavy team. Like we just covered the Mets. Like they've got a few guys that you really want to target, and then there's some easier outs lower in the order.
But for how many years, and Kratz and Todd and even Ryan could tell you this, like your closer was your 9th inning guy.
No, I understand that.
And you had an 8th inning guy, and you had a 7th inning guy, and you had some situational guys that would mix in. But it didn't matter where you were in the lineup. Your closer wasn't coming in the 8th inning. He was coming in the 9th.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I know like Josh Hader a couple years ago kind of was doing what I was doing, and then, the Brewers didn't really want to pay him or didn't give him any credit for it during his ARB case or whatever. So then he told him, I'm not throwing any other inning but the 9th inning unless it's a save situation. He kind of set the tone for that. If they didn't want to kind of respect him for his efforts, and he kind of stood up for himself and, wanted to stick to that traditional closer role.
Yeah, to me, that's more of an ARB thing where it's like they got to reevaluate. ARB is they use the most archaic stats. It's guys that the guys who make the decisions haven't watched baseball. I know that. I've done plenty of homework on it. That's a separate case. Hey, Ryan, off the field question for you. So, like, you're on the road right now?
Yeah, we're in Chicago, yeah.
So what's the game plan before and after games? Like, are you get up in the morning and hit the town and go to breakfast and find a spot? Post game, are you chilling playing Fortnite against random players across the league? Like, what's the off-season routine or the off-the-field routine for you right now?
So, yeah, I usually get up and go get coffee from somewhere close to the hotel, Starbucks or whatever, and then somebody texts me or I text someone, hey, let's go try out a breakfast spot. I'll usually do that too. Especially since having a kid now, man, I wake up so much more early. My body's just like on go now. I wake up a lot earlier than I did before I had a kid. Used to, I'd sleep all morning and then just grab coffee, then get on the bus and go. And post-game was the same way. Before I had a kid, I'd play video games, with whoever wanted to. And then now it's just kind of like, if we're home, see the kid, but then on the road, just kind of relax and decompress a little bit, maybe watch some Netflix and just go to sleep.
Hey, Ryan, I got a question for you. I'm going to switch gears a little bit. Mother's Day coming up here. What impact has your mom, Sherry, had in your baseball career, man? Because I like to bring I'm a big family guy, as we know on this show. Whenever you talk about moms, man, it, melts your heart a little bit. So what is your mom, what's the impact that Sherry had for you?
Yeah, my mom's been huge for me, and not just me, but my brothers and my whole family. She sacrificed a lot for us, and, coming up through the minor leagues when I first got drafted, I was in Johnson City, so it's about a 14 or 15 hour drive from home. And she didn't tell me she was coming, and we actually got rained out that day. She was like, "Hey, did you get rained out?" And I was like, "Yeah, I was supposed to start that day." She was like, "Oh no, we were 30 minutes away," and so she came over, said hello, and then just drove straight back home. So I mean, just the love that my mom has and a lot of moms out there, it's immeasurable, and she's the best mom, and supports you through thick and thin, and now she's a grandma to a couple grandkids, and it's fun. She's the best grandma and mom, better than I could ever ask or imagine.
Very nice.
Would she get nervous during your games? Because I always talk to pitchers. Pitchers' moms and position player moms are different. So how did she handle it?
Yeah, my mom. Yeah, she's a spaz during games. She definitely freaks out. She's on edge. Can't sit still. Probably drinking a beer. Walking around. Definitely not sitting in her seat. Just on edge for those 10 or 15 minutes. I'm out there.
What kind of beer is Sherry drinking?
Oh,
It don't matter as long as it's cold when I'm out there, I think.
So, I mean, does it have to be a Budweiser because she's in St. Louis, or is it like, no, it doesn't matter. If I'm in Wisconsin, I'll drink a Miller Lite.
Yeah, I don't think she cares because I debuted up there in Milwaukee, and so I'm sure she was crushing Millers when I debuted.
Oh my God, that's great.
Was Johnson City? Do they still have the big hill in right field where you started?
No, not when I was there. They didn't. Mm-hmm. They just have
so
a
Johnson
huge
City,
wall.
Yeah, they used to have a hill in right field. And then they had the football stadium still behind right field, right? In Johnson City, there was a big football. So they had a hill, they had a field, and then there was a hill that went and then the wall, and then a football stadium. You had to hit it over the hill, over the wall to hit a home run. There was and the outfielders would run back there, like Towles Hill and Houston, and you see guys trip and fall. It was awesome.
Towles Hill's the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life.
No,
I love that.
Fat Lance Berkman running up the hill, catching the ball, and then dying on the hill. I mean, that was pretty awesome.
I mean, it's funny, but it looks like someone played the Sims ballpark version and just made a hill to just fuck
It's
with
like
people.
back in the day when Yankee Stadium, way back then, had the monuments and left center, you had to run through. Hey,
America had flagpole in center field.
That makes no sense. It makes no sense.
It's awesome.
Do you remember looking at Towles Hill? Did you ever look at it, when you're watching a game being like, that makes zero sense to me? I'm actually surprised more guys didn't blow out like a knee or an ankle.
Oh, we're athletes, Scott.
Oh, sorry.
Here we
Right,
go,
tell them.
Scott.
We're all athletes.
Yeah,
Hey,
we're athletes.
Ryan, did you play any other sports in high school?
Yeah, I played basketball and football. I also ran track a little bit.
Damn, all right.
Yeah.
You
I went to a
had
really
be
small
like a
school,
middle.
so you kind of had to use all the athletes in all the sports. So,
Were you QB or were you you look more, to me, you remind me more of like a middle linebacker.
so I wasn't quite this big. I was a receiver and safety. I was probably like 195 my senior year. I was a little quicker back then. I actually wanted to go to school to play football. My twin brother went to play and wanted to go play football, but obviously chose baseball and worked out.
And what was your event in track? 200?
I did the relays, the 4x1 and the 4x2.
All right.
Kids
You can run.
freaking Jim
You
Thorpe.
can
over
run,
there.
man.
Goddamn Jim
Yeah.
Thorpe. There he is.
Are you the best athlete in the bullpen?
What'd you say? Sorry.
Are you the best athlete in that bullpen?
Yeah, I'd like to say so. I mean, Jordan Hicks might tell you he is, but we go back and forth on that just about every day.
I love that.
Last one from me. Don't you have another dude, and I'm going to mispronounce the name, so I'll make you do it, that's throwing 100 something in your bullpen now? Or I think he might have just gotten sent back down, right?
Zuninga?
There's another dude. How do you say it?
Zuninga?
Yeah, Zuninga.
Yeah.
He's back down now, but isn't he 102 or something also?
Yeah, he pitched the other day against the Angels, and he was like 98 to 100 the whole time, and he looked really good. Nice slider. He's a stud.
They got a hundo plus all over
every
that
guy.
bull. I know.
I mean,
ridiculous.
lefties, righties, 100.
Yeah.
100. It's awesome.
Yeah, good shit. Hey,
High
Ryan,
octane.
great catching up with you, man. Keep the streak going, dude.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thanks for having me, guys.
Hey, have a double cheeseburger in that Wrigley clubhouse for me. Okay, I missed those.
Do it for me. I used to eat them all the time.
We'll do it.
Later, Ryan. Good stuff.
He's very stoic. He's calm, cool, and collective, just like when he's on the mound, too. You don't see too much craziness. He gets the job done, walks off, and he gets in the dugout. That's how he is in his interviews. Love it.
He's got one-liners, though.
Yeah, he's got good ones. Would you rather have a stoic closer or a little bit of a crazy closer? I always thought a little bit of a crazy closer. You got to be a little bit crazy.
Brian Wilson,
I mean, think about you have Mariano, who was
stoic.
nothing ever changed,
Just
and then
chill.
you had Brian Wilson. I don't know, you can name most closers. They're a little bit cuckoo most of the time. They're not very. There's less stoic closers than there are. Papelbon's out there dancing on the mound. Trevor Hoffman would do some stuff sometimes. There's a lot. Billy Wagner gash you and give you the fist pump. I mean, there's, you have to be a little bit crazy to be a closer, I think, because to want that job. You think about it. You're the guy. You're like the field goal kicker, on a football team. Okay, the team plays 9 innings, 24 outs. They're winning 3-2. You come in, you give up a walk and a homer, and your team loses the game. Everyone looks at you and goes, man, this guy, what an asshole. 3 hours. And this guy gave it up. And you got to be able to say, okay, I'm going to get him tomorrow. That's a hard job. It's like a field goal kicker. No one knows who the field goal kicker is until they miss the game-winning field goal, and everyone hates them. These are not even practicing with the team. He's over there on the side.
That's what I'm saying. The pitcher, the
they're more involved,
pitch.
obviously.
They're more involved. But did you guys do that in the clubhouse afterward? If you're like, lost 4 in a row, we're up 6-4 in the 9th, and we lose 7-6. Or like this fucking guy.
Well, no, because you don't really do that. Because it's more of because it's more of, man, if I would have got another hit, then we wouldn't have had to worry about it. There's a million things as a player you go through, but there's nothing more demoralizing for a team than when you blow that lead in the 9th, and you're just, especially on the road, and they walk you off and they're doing their celebration. You're watching it, and you're just like, this beer is not going to taste as good after the game. This food's not going to
Still drinking it.
But gosh, man, it's just the worst feeling. And you feel for closers, but they want the job, and the ones that are good are really good at it.
Hey, talk about one-liners. I just thought of this. Erik, AJ, Scott, I know this wasn't you because it just wasn't. But do you remember back in the day, and maybe I'm wrong, when your dad would come up to you and you did something wrong in the game, he'd be like, you know what? No dinner for you. You better pick it up. Like he would yell at you so you wouldn't be able to eat after the game. Did your dad ever tell you that or no?
Not once.
Hey, you better pick it up or you're not getting dinner tonight. Now, I guess that's a Jersey. I don't know, man.
No, that's a running joke. That's a running joke at my daughter's volleyball game between the parents. Like my kid will hit it in the net. And I'm like, she's not eating for a week now.
No, man.
She missed again. That's 2 weeks.
No dinner, man. That must be an East Coast thing, man, because you hear the dads, they come up to me during the game, Joe, my son doesn't pick it up, you're afraid he's not eating tonight. And I'm like, my dad used to tell me that, man. I'll give him food. I said, he pissed me off. But no, never mind. I just thought about it. We can move on.
No, that's good shit. Frage, you think I didn't experience that? I'm Jersey sports. I didn't actually, for the record.
Erik,
but I did.
No, there he is, trying to pretend he was a player. No, there you go. He just nailed it right there. First one.
Well, that's why I wanted to ask AJ if it's demoralizing when the closer blows the games. I have no idea.
It is. I think Erik
Just asking as a professional fan if you're pissed off.
Erik,
It's more demoralizing because if you have a legitimate closer, you're setting it up for like, okay, hey, we got this. And then you lose and you're like, oh, man. Now tomorrow he might not be available. Now we got to make sure we're up by 3 runs, whatever it is in the moment. You're not sitting there going, oh, great. I hope Johnny doesn't come in and close tomorrow because so-and-so's down. No, it's not like that. But in the moment, you're going to win that game.
I was on bad teams, and I was like, oh, boy, please don't bring in Johnny because we're going to blow this. There's those times, Kratz. Those times happen.
I don't play on bad
Your
teams. I
bullpen
wasn't a
sucks.
bad teammate, so I thought everybody was good.
Shit.
You're such a liar.
Hey,
Such a liar.
you pat him on the back. I was the guy that you try and be the big, hey, man, we'll get him next time. But in the back of your mind, you're like, son of a gun, man. Here we go.
That's the one game that cost us the playoff, dang it.
Playoffs?
All right, so I want to take you guys to Reddit on Wednesday, which we do every Wednesday. What's blowing up on AJ's favorite website. And I want to begin with, you're looking at me.
Well, like I've been on Reddit. I only go on Reddit for one
You
thing.
like how I casually just mentioned shit.
We all know what it is.
Actually, what is it?
I told you I check out the Orange Theory workouts before I go to Orange Theory.
Right.
Cheater.
I cheat. Yep.
Yep,
Well,
that
I
is
cheat.
cheating.
And then the
cheat on my own
Tatis
shit.
of Orange Theory.
Exactly. Cheating. By the way, more on cheating. If you catch Joe Musgrove's interview yesterday calling out Brian Kenny for saying that he was cheating and then he didn't apologize, it's a must watch and listen. Anyway, on WFAN, Evan Roberts and Craig Carton
Who?
think dudes that don't watch baseball, honestly,
Oh, boy.
think that there's cheating going on. I could say it. I would bring them on. They're not watching many games. And I'm saying this to be fair if you're covering every sport. Like, it is impossible to say, oh, I'm watching every Yanks and Mets game. Like, they're watching NBA playoffs, those guys right now. So they also think there's cheating going on. So let's run this first.
Listen, I just laugh when I see AJ's picture up there, but there's a problem. Here, I mean, let's talk about this real quick, guys. Let's talk about speculations. We always talk about speculations in life, in sports, accusations, speculations. They kind of coincide with each other. Talking about the Tampa Bay Rays. Boys, Craig, I know you really well, and you're a smart man. But you can't just be blurting that out, saying, hey, listen, the Tampa Bay Rays must be cheating because they're winning so many games. I know it's frustrating. I know, Evan, you say you're not a Yankees fan. I understand, but you just can't be blurting that stuff out, man, when there's no evidence. So where you're from, where I'm from, there's got to be evidence on everything we talk about. I like you guys, but this was a tough take right here. And I hope you're right. Evan, I hope you're right, man. Talking about going on the Athletic at the end of the season and you find something out. I do. I hope you're right because you'll be a smart man then, but you got to have some kind of something written down, something. I mean, something you say makes no sense because, yeah, it doesn't. It doesn't make sense right now, guys. I don't know.
What? That they're playing good
Does it
ball?
say they're a really good team?
No, yeah. Well,
What makes
first
sense?
off, for context, I want to run the sound of what they said.
Is playing stupid ball right now.
Yeah, and there's something suspicious about that, by the way.
Yeah, they're probably
very
cheating.
suspicious. I didn't say it,
Yeah.
but all I know is I'm a baseball fan. I know baseball. I like baseball. I was very skeptical with what I saw this weekend.
Yes, me too.
I have no evidence other
Bunch of
than
journeyman outperforming the baseball card.
all of them. Christian Bethancourt. Hello. Taylor
Somebody-
Walls.
Yeah.
What? Because you know what we do, most of us do? We don't know who they are, so we say, oh, the Rays are brilliant. Here's the problem. I know who they are. They're not good.
Yeah.
The Rays at 19-3 at home.
Yeah.
Hello. Is everybody going to wake up? Are you going to wake up when the article's written in The Athletic, or are you going to wake up now? Sometimes you don't need evidence. Sometimes you got to say what I'm watching doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So I'll do it. I'm not a Yankee fan.
Okay, raise
I have
your
no
hand.
reason to say. I'm going to raise my hand.
Yeah.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, what I'm seeing in Tampa makes no sense.
No
That's
sense at all.
That's all.
No.
Hello.
Hold on. I know this is big in New York markets, the sports radio, and
Just saying random
just
shit.
saying random stuff to get people to tune in.
Yeah.
That's an absolutely horrible take. You know why the most horrible thing is at the beginning when he goes, I'm not saying they're cheating, but Scott Braun, but what did I say about but? Anything you say before but doesn't count. But they're doing something down there. They're a terrible team. Well, guess what? Garrett Cole had a 6-0 lead and blew it. So you're saying they cheated because they scored 6 off Garrett Cole and then came back to win the game? That's why you're saying they're cheating? You're saying they're cheating because they have better scouting than you do and they don't pay as much for players as you guys do? How are they cheating? They have a light that tells them, how are they getting the signs? They're like a guy in center field with binoculars putting a light on? Have, like Todd said, have some evidence. Don't just do clickbait. It's bad.
But he's not going to have evidence. He's
I know, of
not
course not.
tied into the game at all.
Well, that's my point.
At all.
It's just a clickbait. Hey, listen to my radio show. I'm going to say something really stupid.
He doesn't know anyone on the team. He probably barely knows anyone in baseball, period. The dude that was calling it out. Literally,
that dude?
probably
Which dude was
knows
that?
how many phone numbers of players, coaches, managers, front office people do you think he has? Over, under, 0.5.
0.5.
I'm
He's
going
probably got
under.
one. He's probably
maybe
got
one. Maybe one.
Which
Or
guy was
if he
that that was
hears
saying
this, he's probably going to grab one real quick just to try and prove me wrong.
He
Doesn't know shit.
Who was that guy?
And he's going to
Which
be the
one
most
was it? 'Cause I
brilliant
don't know
man if
that
something
guy.
ever came out, which it's not. And here's the other side of it. If we get to 2 years from now and we look back and we're like, they didn't do shit. Nothing ever came out and there wasn't ever anything. Guys just making shit up to try and get listens and get attention from people like us. No one remembers it. No one cares. You know what I'm saying? So it costs you nothing to throw out garbage all the time. It's the same thing with people that make predictions every day. And I'm not talking about betting. I'm talking about people that just throw out random ass predictions every single day. And then when they're right 1 out of 100, they're God. Come on, enough.
It's so true. It is radio. We have it here in Philly. Like, radio guys are sitting there going, like, if you watched like the barometer of they stink, they're the best, they stink, no chance, why is this guy playing? How did he make the All-Star team? Oh, he stinks. You know, it's just a roller coaster of there's so much content, especially when you're talking about baseball. There's so much content to be had. You don't need to say something like this. Like, you're such a troll saying this that you know for a fact that when you had your meeting, you're like, hey, I'm going to bring it up. Oh, really? Will you? Oh, cool, bro. Yeah, man. And then you just get some clickbait. It's like, have some evidence. Have something that you like, hey, you know what I saw? They picked up this in his start. That could be something, but come on, don't throw out just because somebody's doing well. Oh yeah, definitely. I know these guys. Oh, do you? You know Christian Betancourt and the path that he's taken from being a hitter to a pitcher, back to a hitter, playing in the minor leagues for 3 years, and now he's receiving the ball really well, and he's getting an opportunity to hit because he plays every day. He's a career 300 hitter, top prospect for the Braves. Oh, okay, you do know Christian Betancourt. My bad.
People eat it up, man. That's the problem. People will eat this up. People will eat this. People eat it up, spit it out. Monday morning quarterback, as they call them in football terms, of Monday morning, pitcher. I don't know what you want to call it, but they will eat this up. And that's what they do, man. That's what they do up here. And people are in their cars like, you know what? They're on to something. We're going to find it. And then, you talk about it at the bars and you hear about what this guy says. And that's all it is. That's all it is. And as you know, up here, you take things with a grain of salt and and most of the time you move on. And most people, I'll hear it at the Little League game tonight, bro. Did you hear about what Evan Roberts and Carden said? I'd be like, yeah, I heard, man, but I got a game going on. I don't want to hear the crap, So, but I'm telling you right now, if I find somebody tonight at the Little League game, I'm going to videotape and be like, hey, man, go ahead, ask me what you just said. I'll have at least 1 or 2 people.
Yes.
That heard it. Hey, if you're a baseball fan, you actually watch games, you know how trades work and all of that, and you want to lose brain cells, listen to that garbage. I'm telling you, because I've done it. I grew up in the area, so I dealt with it. And it was a little better when I was growing up, but nowadays, especially the past 10 years being in the sport, and when I'm home and I listen, I'll pop in. I don't listen often anymore, honestly, because I'm not getting anything from it. And I've already lost plenty of brain cells. You're lucky. But wait, this is like the average combo. Same combo they're having there. It's like they'll take a rando mid-level prospect on their team and think that he should be traded for the top pitching candidate that's going to be dealt away at the deadline. It's textbook. They get calls on it, and they'll call out themselves. Hey, you know what? Why don't they just trade Cabrera for Dylan Cease? Tell me who says no. How haven't they done that yet? I'm like, dude, enough. It happens all the time.
It's a bad accent. You should have a better accent.
Because Kratz just wipes the floor with me.
I kind of like that accent. That might have been more like a Jersey City accent, but you're not getting a ball with that kind of accent, Scott. That's for sure.
Hell no.
You're going to have some water ice.
No, I'm saying the dude Roberts. And I don't know him. I'm just saying, you sound dumb when you say that. You do. You're just calling random shit out. You sound dumb. It's just a bad look. But it's a great look because he's going, I got all these ball players to talk about me for 10 minutes. How you doing?
Which guy was that?
Evan Roberts.
That's the guy who
said
That's
the name of the guy. I mean, I don't listen to him, but that's his name. Yeah.
Who's the other guy?
Craig Carton.
Doesn't he do a show with the ex-baseball player guy, Decker?
Cody's awesome. Cody watches. My problem, real quick, and then we got our guests ready. So for someone like Craig, and he would definitely say this, and I've had conversations with national radio people, right? Mad Dog's the same way. Chris Russo's been on the radio forever. People love him.
Yeah.
You can't some people love it. You can't watch everything. So right now they're locked in on NBA playoffs, watching every second of it. They're not watching pitch by pitch of all MLB, let alone Yanks or Mets. They're not. They'll catch maybe a few minutes of highlights. Sure, they could say, oh, I got every screen open, but they're talking about the big national story for their show. And that's fine. It's just you're not capable of being locked in. So all good. It happens. You know who is locked in? Blake Zeff from Mets Fix. Joining us right now. Blake, how you doing? Great to have you on. MetsFix.com. Catch the newsletter. You can see many more articles on the website as well. And you can follow them at MetsFix. So this is all things New York Mets. I know we're a little New York heavy today, but it's that kind of day. So I texted Blake last night and said, I think we need to have an emergency therapy session. Blake, great to have you on, and let's vent.
Listen, I'm feeling better already just because we've got the author of one of the best home runs in Mets history on with us right now, ToddFather. So I'm already feeling a little bit better. We run home run off and do a little. I still replay that home run like on YouTube when I'm in a bad mood, or if I'm working out, I need to get revved up. So thank you for that on behalf of millions of people.
Thank you. Man. Appreciate that. Now I feel even better now with these two guys. Excuse me. I can't even talk. I'm choking up. I'm so excited. Thank you.
Yeah, never forget. So yeah, Scott, man, listen, it's a disaster. I mean, I heard you talking about those crazy trades, and I was like, what? You're telling me we can't get Ronald Acuna for Calvin Ziegler? I mean, this is the situation right now where the Mets are just they're decimated. I don't even know where to start. I mean, one place is just the pitching, right? Like, if you were to tell me that Verlander and Scherzer would have a total of 27 innings pitched at this point, and the combined ERA is over 5, I could tell you right off the bat that is a guarantee that the Mets are not having a good season. The way they built this season, look, they don't have young pitching. And so they got the two most expensive guys who are old, great, but old. And there's a risk that comes with that. And the risk is not paid off. So you've got those two guys barely even a factor. And when Max is pitching, he's getting hammered. So there's no argument for the Mets. There's no theory of the case. There's no vision for them having a good season if those two guys are not healthy and dominant. And so far, they've been neither.
So here's your thing is called the Mets Fix. What's the fix?
I'm glad you asked. So look, this isn't going to fix everything, but this organization has just been so weird when it comes to prospects. And I'm curious, what you guys, the veterans, think about this, because I'm sure that there is value to having the experienced veterans and giving them the playing time. And in the clubhouse, I know that they're popular, but what the Mets seem to do is they've got Brett Beatty, who is ready by all accounts at third base. He was, had a slugging 1,000 OPS in AAA. Just everything they asked him to do, spring training, crushing the ball. And instead, they just wanted to go with Eduardo Escobar until finally they just had no choice. Escobar was under the Mendoza line and Beatty was just killing it. They finally bring Beatty up, but they insist on batting him 8th or 9th. Same thing for Francisco Alvarez, the catcher, is supposed to be the best prospect in baseball. They don't want to bring him up. They've got Tomas Nido, who's, a great guy, good fielder, but he's a career maybe 200 hitter. They finally bring Alvarez up when Omar Narvaez gets hurt. And then what do? They have him batting 9th. And he's been one of the best hitters on the team in the last couple of weeks after a tough start. Now, in terms of moving forward, what do? They've got Mark Vientos, who you just look at any leaderboard in the minors right now, and he's crushing it. Ronnie Mauricio, same thing. And those guys, they can't find a spot on the roster for these guys, even though the club is several games under 500 and can't get any runs. Mark Hanna, Daniel Vogelbach. These guys are just not, Eduardo Escobar, these guys are not doing it right now. So my fix, for lack of a better word, is let's see what these young studs can do, because some of these aging veterans just don't have it right now.
Wait, so first I have to ask a question, and then it's going to be a follow. Are you a Mets fan?
Yeah.
Like through and through, lifelong, you love the Jets, you love the Mets?
Unfortunately, yes.
Okay, so that brings us, because that's what we said before, like Mets fans think the sky is falling. Now, let's go back to last year at this time. Were you already getting your tattoo for the Mets World Series championship?
No, and it's a great point you're making. And in fact, I think there's a real lesson, right? Like, which is the Phillies. You can go back 2 years, right? The Phillies last year, they were slow and steady. They were in that wild card spot basically the whole year, and then peaked at the right time, right? And then even the Braves the year before, they didn't really get hot until the end. So you're right. There's plenty of season left. I'm not saying the sky is falling at all, but I am saying that the signs that you're seeing are not very positive. And it's funny. I was at the game. I happened to be in San Francisco a couple weeks ago when the Mets were there. This game when Joey Lucchesi debuted, and the team looked great. They were really doing well. There were several games over 500. They've just had a really bad 2 weeks. And so I think what you're kind of saying is let's put things in perspective. I totally agree. I'm not one of those nuts, those crazy talk radio guys. Long season, and you want to peak at the right time. As long as they get in the playoffs, I'm happy. But right now, it looks like these young guys are doing everything they possibly can do to get the call. So I'd like to see them get a shot.
But did you say that on April 3rd, or are you just saying it now on May 9th or 10th?
I thought Beatty and Alvarez should have been the opening day lineups. Vientos and Mauricio, I think they've just had such a good month and a half here, or month and a half, that it seems clear that they deserve a shot. But yeah, I'd say, look, one of the things in fairness to the team is that there's been such a shocking number of injuries, particularly the pitching, and that's not something you can predict, right? And so one of the problems really is that Carlos Carrasco has barely pitched. Jose Quintana has not pitched at all. Verlander's only pitched one game. Max has been on and off the IL. So what they've been forced to do is rely on David Peterson and Tyler McGill, Joey Lucchesi. And these guys are good 6th or 7th or 8th starters. But after a while, if you're relying on them for 2 months, 3 months to be your second and third pitchers, it becomes really tough.
Blake, where are these kids going to play, though? Because remember, Lindor, shortstop, McNeil second, Alonso first. You have Narvaez as the catcher. You have Nimmo in center. You have Marte in right. You have Escobar. You already brought up Beatty. Alvarez came in because Narvaez get hurt. Yeah, it's great. Everyone says, oh, man, we want all these young kids to come up, but they have nowhere to play because there's big contracts. And I know they're the Mets. They have a lot of money. But also, normally when you call up young kids, you don't hit them 3rd or 4th in the lineup. You hit them down. And then lastly, for me, you can't win a pennant as a Mets fan. If you go into the year and you say you have these 4 young kids starting, Mets fans aren't going to be that excited. When they hear the names that they signed and they brought in, yeah, we're back. We're spending all this money, right? Now you change your mind because they're 17 and 19?
Yeah, in terms of where they play, great question. So Mauricio is definitely, he's just locked. He's just got a problem. He's blocked for a decade because Lindor's at short. So what they've started doing is having him take some reps at second. And the idea would then be that McNeil could go to left field. Marquez is a nice player, great guy, but he just really hasn't been performing. He didn't really perform much last year either. And this year, he's around 210, couple of homers in left field. So the idea would be Mauricio plays second, and then you put McNeil at left field. In terms of Vientos, the idea is he would probably be the righty part of the DH platoon. Right now, you've got Vogelback as the lefty part of that platoon, DH, and then righty. It's kind of been a toss-up. They had Darren Ruff. They got rid of him right away. And you guys might agree with me here, actually, that they were too hasty in getting rid of him. I think they got rid of him even before the season started. I would have given him a shot. They got rid of him. Now they've been putting Tommy Pham in there sometimes. Sometimes Canna. They've been kind of finding their way there. I think Vientos is the righty part of a platoon, and the DH makes a lot of sense there.
Hey, I'm curious to hear your thoughts about this. Jacob deGrom, when he didn't come back with the Mets, did you feel like he was going to come back for one? And I think it's Zach Wheeler as well, because when I was there was 2 big guns right there that I felt like, they shouldn't have left. They had to find a way to keep him there. What were your thoughts on deGrom leaving, and as a true Mets fan?
Yeah, it was devastating. Look, the thing with Jake is when he's pitching, he's maybe the best of all time, or he's definitely the best in the game. He's a freak. It's unbelievable. It's such a treat to watch him. He had a really hard time staying, healthy, obviously, the last couple of years. So when I saw that Texas, wowed him with so much money that even Steve Cohen didn't want to match it, I kind of understood. You can't blame the Mets, and they had what seemed like a very good backup plan in Verlander, which who could complain about that? I think they announced that a couple of days later. So it felt, as a Mets fan, you're sad to see Jake go because he was truly an all-time great for the team and obviously even the league. But again, calling up, signing Verlander right after that, we were able to dry your tears pretty quickly. In terms of Wheeler, that was a tough one. He really started to excel towards the end there.
He did.
You were there. And then to see what he's done since then, I still root for him, even though he's not on the team, because he was a great Met. And they definitely could use him right now. Let me tell you. They could also use Seth Lugo, by the way, a guy who's sort of under the radar, who San Diego has now. He always wanted to start when he was on the Mets.
He did.
I wrote that I thought they should give him a shot. I thought, he had the arsenal to do it. He had several pitches, he good command. And when they asked him to spot start, he did okay. San Diego's one to do it, and he's been pretty good. The Mets could definitely use him right now.
Yeah, Lugo's pitching again today. So I want to shout out an individual fan. I brought him up towards the beginning here. His name's Zach Schwartz. He's a buddy of mine. He's watched every single Mets game, he said since he can remember, and he's in his mid-30s. I'm also shouting him out because he introduced me to Mets Fix, which is why we're here, right? He's been a devoted fan there. So he was very adamant on getting a question in there, and I told him, of course, that's what we do here. So, and I'll mention what he said. And what I mentioned to these guys at the top was, he said, for as long as I can remember, even for some really bad Mets teams, he's watched 162 a year, but this team feels unwatchable. Some of the most uninspired baseball I've ever seen. So I'll get your comments on that, but also his question was, something has to change, right? Most teams, when they're going through a rut, especially if this goes for another week or two, teams will do something. Often it's the hitting coach. He was like, would they maybe look at the pitching coach in Jeremy Hefner? I disagree with him because I'm like, you got an injury in Max. You got Verlander just coming back. Diaz out. Like other injuries with Carrasco, Quintana, etc. I was like, I don't think they're touching Jeremy Hefner, but wanted to get your thoughts on who would get axed as a coach or maybe a player cut or something to shake up what they've got.
Yeah, I'm actually with it more in the school of thought of like AJ and Kratz. Actually, I'm more of I'm like a not overreactive Mets fan because they can be so reactive and crazy. I don't think anyone should be fired. Why should Jeremy Hefner be fired for the fact that like 5 starters have been hurt? I mean, he's not a doctor. You want to fire the trainer or the doctor, maybe that makes sense. I think, Hefner did a great job last year, so I think that's premature. What I think could be more likely are 2 things. One, changing the batting order. Buck finally started to do that a little bit. Starling Marte is obviously an incredible player, but something seems wrong with him. He seems like he either is hurt or he's having a hard time recovering from surgery. So they finally moved him down from the 2 hole to number 6, which I think made a lot of sense. They moved Beatty up from 8 or 9 to now he's batting in the 5th slot. I'd like to see Alvarez move up from 9 to maybe 7 right now. So I think they're a little, they've been doing some tinkering with the order and actually has been a little bit better, the offense. And I think they should do a little more of that. The other thing, like I said before, is I don't see a harm in bringing up 1 or 2 of these guys who are just crushing it in the minors. When you've got, listen, if the big league club was hitting well, you'd say, all right, leave it alone. But some of these marginal players really are struggling. And I'm not saying sit, Francisco Lindor or something crazy like that. But if, Ronnie Mauricio means that Mark Hanna gets a few less at bats, I don't think that's the end of the world. Ditto for, Vientos instead of Tommy Pham. So I think those are the kind of things that you might see. You're not going to see major acquisitions in May, right? You're not going to find, a major trade. That's just not realistic right now. So they kind of have to figure something out, try to tread water until we get to, the trade deadline area. Then you can do all sorts of things. But for now, I think if we can hover around 500, just be within wild card reach for the next month or 2, I think that's okay. That's good enough. And then you pounce in July.
Yeah, and I think, AJ brought this up too as well. You don't bring up young kids not to play. I think that's the biggest thing going on in any organization. But now I'm gonna shoot the shit with you here about, let's pretend we're at a bar, you and me, all right? We're talking Mets baseball, which I know you love to do. I like talking Mets baseball too. My son's a big fan. We always talk about who's going to be better, Yankees or Mets. Let's go. We just had a drink. We're talking, shooting the shit. Hey, where do you think the Mets are going to end up at the end of the year?
Whew. Yeah, that's a tough one. I mean, I try to be really optimistic.
Come on, we're at a bar, you and me talking. Hey, man.
I know. Listen, buddy, because it's you. I got to be honest. This is feeling like an 87 to 89 win team to me, which, could be enough to sneak in and get that wild card. That's all I want right now. Yeah. Just get me into the playoffs, okay? And then anything can happen. The Padres, the Phillies, we saw what they did last year.
Now, wait, time out. We're talking. I'm going to interrupt you. Are you begging right now, or are you getting greedy saying they're going to get there?
I mean, I'm praying.
That's the Mets fans I know. That's the Mets fans I know for sure. That's where I'm trying to get at for sure.
I'm praying, Todd, but I think 87 feels realistic. I mean, look, Cohen's going to spend some bank at the break. The Mets fans want Ohtani. I think that's obviously just asking for the moon. I don't need that, although I'd love to get him in the offseason. But that's the chatter you're going to see from these Mets fans. Let's get Ohtani at the deadline. I don't think that has to be the answer, but they'll get some reinforcements. Look, if this team is 500 until the trade deadline, could they end up 87, 88, 89 wins? Definitely. And then you got a shot.
Would you agree that people's baseball cards kind of tell the story of what you're going to get?
Yeah, usually that's the beauty of it, right? Like 162 games, you end up at the end of the year, you look back and it all sort of, evens out. So it's like also if someone who starts off really hot, right? Like you got to know, don't expect this guy to hit 360 the whole season unless he's Tony Gwynn, right? So that's going to even it out. And I think that's totally right. You got to wait the season and see what happens. The problem is, though, some of these guys on the Mets that I'm talking about, not Marte. Marte was incredible last year, so I'm sure he's going to be improving as he gets more healthy. But I'm talking about guys like Cano. I think he's a great guy and a good player. But Cano, Escobar, those guys were in the 230 range last year too. So we're now looking at a little bit more of a bigger sample. But for sure, someone having one bad month is not something to overreact to for sure.
So you brought up Mark Canha a lot. The red hair assassin is getting assassinated by you. So if I told you who you're calling up to play left field, majority against lefties, is going to have a 853 OPS for the rest of the season, would you take that guy?
Sure.
He might hit 230, 235, but he's going to have an 853 OPS.
It's a little tricky to answer it in that way. I'm not trying to dodge the question because I think this team lacks power. And I think they really need someone who can put it this way. If Alonso doesn't hit a home run and Lindor doesn't, basically no one on this team does. So I would prefer if you told me it was like 780 OPS, but 23 home runs the rest of the way versus 850 OPS, but 6 home runs, I might actually take the home run guy because this team just lacks pop. And it's too hard to play the station to station ball when you can't just put it on Alonso and Lindor every freaking game. It's unfair to those guys and it just doesn't work. So I don't mean to cop out on your question because I think it's totally a good one. But for me, if it's the guy with more pop, even if he has a slightly lower OPS, I'll take it.
No, I get that, but you're not going to get somebody with a 730 OPS with 23 pumps for the rest of the year.
Right.
But so if you think baseball cards level out, you might as well start playing Mark Canha a little bit more because he's going to get there and he's going to get on base. Like it's part of. I know. Buck gets so pissed off guys get hit by pitches, but they brought in dudes that all lead the league and hit by pitches at some point in their career. So. To me, if you saw Canha do what he's done for his career, you were juiced about him until about 2 months left in the season last year. Like, to me, wouldn't you say, move him up in the lineup because he's about to get hot?
I actually love that way of thinking. It's similar to like the stock market, right? Like you actually want to buy when like the stock is low, right? Because then it's going to go back up. So I like that. That's how I think too. To me, the problem with Canha, who I keep saying like I really like him because I really do. I think he's a good player. I think he's not a great fit for what the Mets need. He's a guy who works to count. We already have that. We've got Nimmo at the top. We got a lot of players, Vogelback, who will work counts and will get on base. That's great. Yeah, if you have a bunch of those guys, it ultimately feels very station to station. You're not getting a lot of run production. So what I think this team needs is someone who can slug the ball. So maybe it's not Canha. Let's not pick on him. Vogelback, that's another one. If he's just going to be a 2 home run guy, which I don't think he is, based on what you're saying, especially with like the back of the baseball card, he's always had more power. I think he's going to hit some more. So I'm not so worried about him. Canha, I don't think he's going to hit as many home runs. But anyway, that's why I'm picking on Mark, just because for me it feels like maybe he should be batting 9th or something like that, where his ability to be a pesky bottom of the order hitter is great. But Buck's been having him about 5th or 6th. And in fairness to Mark, it's just not the kind of guy he is. He's never had more than 60 RBIs in a season, except for once that year in 2019 when everyone was hitting jacks all the time. So for me, it's not that kind of player. And he's kind of being put in the wrong place and not, put in the place where he can succeed the best. Does that make sense?
Like, yeah, totally.
Like for me, the whole thing that I've got is you hate Mark Canha, you hate Daniel Vogelbach, you love prospects, and the Mets are treading water with a $350 million payroll. So there's not enough fixes, I don't think, for what you just said for us to get into. We'd have to take 3 days to get into it. But it's amazing that as a Met fan and what Frage was saying, we got a $350 million payroll. Everything's fixed. Cohen will buy it. Sometimes you always can't buy it. You got to develop. You got to put these guys in the right spot like you're talking about. So very insightful on the Mets.
Yeah, thanks. I totally agree with what you're saying. I mean, the problem is, if you don't have the Mets as a franchise of historically, I mean, Frazier knows it, for whatever reason, they've always been developed great pitching, right? Great young pitching. We talked about Jake before, and all the way back to Doc Gooden, Seaver, Nolan Ryan. It's been going on and on and on, right? Like all these guys. And yet now we're at this weird place in the franchise history where there's not a single blue chip pitching prospect on the horizon for the next couple of years. And it hasn't been for a while. And so what they're trying to do is to tread water, like you said, AJ, by buying, Verlander and buying Max and spending as much on those guys as some teams pay for their entire payroll. And, they're relying on older guys who are Hall of Famers who are incredible. But if that bet doesn't pay off, it's kind of a house of cards, and it reveals that this, we talked so much about the lineup. It's really the pitching in some ways that's really been the story. And so without those guys performing and being healthy, it's really revealing and exposing a lot of the weaknesses underneath those $250 million.
Blake, do you feel any better? I told
Thank you.
you,
This has been great. Eric. I really appreciate it.
Good venting.
Blake, if you really want to feel bad, Volpe just hit a grand slam to make it 11-2 Yankees. So
Oh,
just
I
to
don't
make you feel
care.
a little better.
Thanks for that. Appreciate that. Have a drink,
Yankees
guys.
See
are
ya.
picking up. They're also playing Oakland.
Well, yeah, but still.
That's the biggest auto.
Scotty, you can't go there. It's like when Tampa played. Oh, they are playing Oakland. No, they won their games fair and square, right, Scotty?
And guys,
of course they won their games. I'm
No,
saying
but
it's
Scott-
terrible. Good teams beat bad teams.
Scott,
That's a fact.
That's why I've been so depressed, guys. You're like, why is this guy so angry? It's because they've been playing terrible teams the last week. It's the Rockies, the Reds, the A's. They're losing all these terrible teams. It's depressing. It's worrisome. If they were losing the Braves, I get it. But these teams that are just 10-24, and then they sweep the Mets. That's what's worrying me. But I agree with you guys. You got to give it some time. I'm gonna chill.
So he's saying wild card. I'm hearing him out. Wild card. He's talking wild card. I got you. Hey, listen.
Tread water at 500 until they get a wild card. That's what he said.
All you got to do is
AJ, till the deadline. Till Cohen spends more bucks in July.
Nah, it's all on Scherzer and Verlander. If they are who they are, that's what this team will look like.
They are who we thought they were.
Well, that's been the identity. Last thing I'll say, because I know you guys were getting after with him, like, the Mets for years now has been, you look at the top of the rotation, last couple of years, it's like DeGrom and Scherzer, right? Oh, if we can just get in, that's a freaking force to deal with regardless of the team. Before that even, DeGrom and Syndergaard when he was in his prime. Harvey. Now we're at the same case. They do have an identity. Top end of your starting pitching. That is going to decide who you are. You're going to live and die off that. The offense is going to have ebbs and flows, and to me, it's okay. It's top heavy, but they pay huge money for guys to be Cy Young winners, basically, even if it's on the resume and it's not in the future for them. So that's my take. But Blake, this was awesome, man. And again, at MetsFix on Twitter and also MetsFix.com. Sign up for the newsletter, and appreciate having you on, man. This was fun.
Thanks so much. Thanks, guys. See you soon.
Thank you. All right, so we've got a lot.
He knows way too much about the Mets.
He knows way too much. That's his job.
I know.
I love how AJ just drops that line when he's gone.
Oh, shit.
He still hears you.
I know he does. That was great though.
No, it was good.
He knew.
He knows his shit.
He can tell you who's hitting what in the extended spring right now. This guy's a prospect.
That Volpe grand slam, 440 to dead center. I didn't know he had that juice, by the way. Sorry.
He's not a big dude.
Letting him
He's
play.
got pop. He's got pop.
Bring up young kids to play. Right, Kratzy? Bring up the young kids to play.
You got to play. Jordan Walker, I hope they didn't do anything to this young man, but they're letting him play. The Volpe's learning, he came up and he's kind of a guy that, he takes balls around the edges in the minor leagues. You get your walks, now all of a sudden, boom, you get your pumps. Now, the last few games that I've seen of theirs, yes, he's taking his pitches. He's swinging at way more early count pitches that he wasn't before. They're not pitching around you as a rookie. They're trying to figure out what you got. And when you hit one that deep to center, that's, now all of a sudden you're going to get the 2-1 breaking ball, 3-1 slider down and away, trying to nibble on you. And now his eye at the plate, it's huge. So you start popping balls out like that, there's some serious juju going on there.
Hell yeah.
What did Ichiro say? You want to know how to get more walks? Get more hits, because then they'll start pitching around you. You want to get more walks? Hit homers like Barry Bonds. They'll walk you every time.
Facts. Speaking of legends, Legends Territory is out today on YouTube and on podcasts. We have Dave Stewart, very timely. His good friend Vita Blue passed away over the weekend. Also, he covered his friendship with Reggie Jackson. There's an incredible story about the relationship and their connection, which starts at a very young age with Reggie helping out Dave and his friends. It's wild. You got to listen to it. But also, Dave Stewart might be the next owner in Major League Baseball, and he talked about it.
be that the commissioner, who since his first day in office has talked about a 2-team expansion, he will bring that subject up to the owners, show them why it makes sense to do expansion. Obviously, place a vote. We believe that Nashville is probably the number one team, number one city for expansion, we believe. We're not sure what the West Coast presence is going to be. Las Vegas was that presence. But, he's also talked about Portland. Recently, Salt Lake City has come into the picture. And so those could be options, maybe Sacramento. I know Austin, Texas was mentioned as well as a West Coast presence. But, once Tampa has that done, we're thinking conservatively that this could be a 3 to 5 year process. 1 year has already passed since we really started seriously talking about expansion. And so we're hoping that we can field our minor league team in 27 and play Major League Baseball in 28 is what we're hoping.
That's incredible. And what would you say is the percentage chance that there will be baseball in Nashville in the 2020s?
Because I'm not the commissioner and I'm not the owners, I can't really give you a percentage. But if you're reading the articles and you're hearing the talk and the whispers, I think that we have a great chance of baseball being played in Nashville in the 2020s.
That's good stuff. He gave us a year target, though.
Dude.
AJ's like, we got to get to work out there. You don't believe
He
it?
didn't mention Orlando. Didn't you see the big
Enough.
article about...
I didn't hear anything about Jersey either. I thought Jersey was next. Well, what are you going to do?
Very confused here.
The Orlando Dreamers.
Nashville's going to get a team.
They're a lock.
They're going to get a team.
They're a lock.
It was but remember
2028.
though, no chance. They're going to build a stadium in 5 years? No chance. Get it approved, build it?
Yes.
No, dude, no way.
They're doing that in Vegas, kind of.
But remember, Portland forever was the team, and Charlotte was they were the next two, and now it's flipped to Vegas and Nashville, and Orlando. Those are the three.
Yeah, it's like stocks. Certain cities are rising, certain cities are falling in terms
How
of
much
favor
palm
with
grease
the owners
is going on for all that stuff?
Should ask Dave that.
Crazy.
Hey, Dave, have you given any under the table?
No, they're going to give it over the table. It's going to cost the expansion fee. My guess is what, $3 billion for the expansion fee?
That's why
I think it's based on the median value of all teams is how they base it, and then a projection of how many years out till they start the team.
And then they add a little more to it because why the hell not? They know they know they're going to get it. They want it. So other owners are going to get it.
I love when they say, yeah, it'll be $3.2 billion. Like that 0.2, like you're really dumbing down what $200 million is. Like it'll be $3.2 billion, but give or take a sum.
Yeah, let's show the promo too, so you can catch that whole episode. Dave Stewart, Untold Stories, Unfiltered Takes. Adam Jones was on with me as well for that interview. Every Wednesday, Legends Territory. Shout out to the MLB Players Alumni Association for setting all of that up. BaseballAlumni.com for more info on your favorite former players, and YouTube podcast version, the whole deal. The one other thing he does cover there is, of course, he grew up actually a Giants fan and then converted to an A's fan at some point. And so he covered the A's situation. And it's the gift that keeps on giving. I want to keep reporting on it because people want it and they're not getting their A's news anywhere. It's true. Like, the league won't cover it. The A's have made a deal with Bally's to demolish the Tropicana and build a $1.5 billion ballpark on the Vegas Strip. This according to Howard Stutz, Las Vegas locally. Things are changing. They had a binding.
I thought they had another
what
one.
happened in the binding agreement? They're just bouncing around, baby.
They're greasing.
Apparently, they're getting a little less on the public funding right now, which they're probably negotiating back. Like it was supposed to be $500 million of the people's money. Now it's down to, I believe, $395. Yeah, is the number. So
it's another $100 million for them.
Well, for John Fisher, it's nothing. He's a billionaire. It shouldn't matter. He shouldn't be taking a penny from anywhere. You're going to get it all back. But.
On the Strip, that'd be a good spot, right? I mean, that's a good spot, Tropicana, if you know where Tropicana is.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a.
I agree. That's
a good spot.
That's a stumble upon spot, right? Like even if
Yes.
you're walking down the street and it's a day game and you had a few or you stayed up all night and you had a good day or a good night at the tables, and you're like, oh, the A's are playing Judges in town. All right.
Will they
let's hop
keep the
in.
A's though? If it's Oakland, you think it'll be the Las Vegas A's?
No, they'll switch the name. They're the Aces out there. Is that the AAA,
Yeah.
right? So I would think they'll switch the name. I don't know, because I think, like you said yesterday, they want to rebrand.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
They don't want to be tied to that situation because
If
it
it happens, if that scenario happens, and what you just said, you stayed up all night, you have you're kind of still stumbling into a day game, and then you got to sit through an A's game. You might want to just leave in the third inning.
Well, you go to Vegas, like ToddFather and me are going to Vegas actually to play in a poker tournament, a little action there for BetMGM.
I can't imagine Todd has a very good poker face.
Oh, Todd is a fucking poker stud. I kid you not. Tell him how many people were playing in that tournament.
Listen, I don't want AJ. AJ's always bashing me, bro. He doesn't.
No, I'm serious because you're
No,
emotional. No,
tell him you don't want the
emotional.
smoke, Todd. He won a poker tournament.
Really?
With how many
I
people?
suck at poker. I can't keep my face straight.
400 people in that tournament?
No,
Todd?
there was over 850 people, and I ended up winning the whole thing. So
Nice.
Let's go, Todd. Let's go.
That's awesome.
30 grand.
Oh, wait, how long did you have to
30
sit there though? How long did you have to sit there?
It was like 8 hours. It was long.
See, I get bored. I had no chance. I'm bored.
Adderall for days.
Oh, there ain't enough Adderall in the world.
You're not going.
I know. That's why I ain't going. Because here's my poker face. All in.
Yeah.
Rebuy. All in.
Yeah, and that'll get you out in 5 minutes.
That's why I don't do poker.
Right.
I don't have the attention span.
Well, Todd and me will play.
Hey, good luck, Todd. I really do hope you win because I want to see your trophy next to your home run derby.
I'm getting the ring. Or the bracelet, the World Series of Poker bracelet, baby.
Hell yeah. That's next month in June. Get ready for it. So, I do think that's a good spot, though. I agree.
100%.
Yeah, but you know how you go to Vegas. Last thing, and then we'll hit bets real quick. You go to Vegas after 2-3 days. You're like, if you did it right, you're ready to go. So if the A's are like they are now, you go there and you're ready to go. Like, all right, I'm making the flight a little earlier. I've done that twice out of like 5 Vegas trips where I go, I'm going to fly out a few hours earlier. Like, I don't need the rest of today. What am I going to do? Sit at the pool? I'm dead. Take the 6 a.m. Just go straight.
You do you, Scott.
Thank you. Was
think
I allowed to say that?
It's time, Scott. It's time.
I didn't play, but all right, let's make some dough, okay? I had a good night.
Wait, are we going to bring Lucy in to make fun of us for our picks, or are we going to
absolutely
give our picks and then bring Lucy in to make fun of us?
Lucy's coming in right now from BetQL. Lucy Burdge is ready to go for our BetMGM locks of the day. Good afternoon, Lucy. How are you?
Good afternoon. I'm looking forward to making fun of you guys. I didn't know you could swear on this show. This is a game changer.
Oh, are you kidding me? Go for it.
Oh my
drop
God.
a curse. Let's go.
I'm so
Get it out
fucking
of the
excited
system.
for this.
Where have you been?
This has changed my whole world here.
Oh,
Yes.
my goodness.
Oh, you guys are going to
Every
get it.
damn day.
Yes.
FCC
Absolutely.
doesn't touch us.
They
All
won't,
right,
as
so
Eminem said, they won't let you be.
Exactly. We can do whatever the hell we want on this show. So first off, here, let's just guide everyone through how we did yesterday. Jonesy's not on here, so he picked Judge to homer. It didn't happen. He knocked in 2.
Hey, my last pick, though, was a good one before the last show I had, but that's fine.
Okay, what was it? Top 5.
Well, I took the
Okay.
Tigers money line against the Cardinals, the first game of the series, won about 300 and change, I remember.
I gave you love. You crushed that. It was plus
Thank
185. That was on Friday. That was a good call. Cardinals hadn't won the first game of a series, and that actually ended on Monday, but you nailed that from Friday. So yes, we're giving you props. And then Grayson Rodriguez, you hit your over. I said bet the mortgage on A's Yanks. That was my lock of the year. I did say that, and it hit. So thank you.
Ohtani no hits though.
Ohtani no hits. It's all right. Kratzy tailed me. Didn't you tell me, Kratzy?
Oh yeah.
All right. Shift quickly to
the Rays
to
were
money
cheating
bags.
in that game when they got 6 hits off Grayson Rodriguez in Camden Yards.
They might just clip what you said right there and then throw it all over the place. They're going to throw it on FAN and be like, the Prusinski guy, he agrees with me. Someone agrees with me. Lucy's probably like, what? If she hasn't been on listening.
I also had Shohei Ohtani over 1.5 total bases, and that is a big disappointment. yesterday. That was a loss for I think a lot of people. So I don't blame you for that one. But that's not so bad. It's not terrible.
No.
To be up 400 something, down 500 is a little bit, that's
Hey.
Yeah. AJ's
can't really get
What
much
about
worse
down-
than that,
what-
honestly.
Well, you haven't seen Kratz's number.
No.
Kratz's number is high at the moment, but
Almost 1,500, almost 1.5 thousand.
Well, all you have to do, you just keep gambling. That's the only way to do it. Just keep going.
I'm doubling down.
facts.
Lucy, if you have a gambling problem, please
Lucy, I'm
call.
doubling down.
All right, so let's do our
problem
locks.
I have is I can't stop gambling. It's
Yes.
really okay.
Facts.
Perfect.
Let's do our locks. Okay, so your BetMGM locks for Wednesday. And I know we have day games going on, so the rules and these guys always really just AJ complains about it. He always wants to pick a day game, and I'm like, you can't pick a day game. They're already happening, so we're picking night games. So Lucy, you lead the way. What do you have first? You have a lock today, and then you have a homer pick for later.
I sure do. So I have a homer pick for a 4:00 game. It happens to be on Shohei Ohtani, but my lock of the day, throw away the key. Braun Bello over 4.5 strikeouts against the Braves for the Red Sox tonight. Braun Bello hit this over in 3 of his 4 starts this season, 5, 6, and 5 strikeouts in those. He loves to hit 5 strikeouts. So over 4.5, I really like. Could easily see him doing that. He'll have a better start tonight, I think, than Pivetta had last night. The Braves as a team have a strikeout rate of 23.5%, which is more toward the highest in the league. So I like the over here for Braun Bello, lock of the day.
Wow. Boom. There it is. You're going to go next because you picked that game too.
Yeah. My lock of the day is, I don't know, is this really fading her though? Because Braun Bello, I took over. I took over in that game. It's 10. It's high. But Braun Bello, and they haven't really said it. I think it's a bullpen day for the Braves. There's not a starter listed anywhere.
Because Fried's hurt.
Because Fried's hurt and he's on the IL. So I'm thinking both teams can swing it. Bello hasn't been great this year. So I'm taking over 10 in that game, especially Turner Field, the ball flies, and those teams can swing it.
It's Lee.
Oh, it is. Yeah, but he's a bullpen.
Right.
He's
so
a
it's a bullpen game.
Yeah.
Oh, don't
see that still goes with my bet. That works with it because he can still have a bad day. Like Chris Sale did a couple starts ago, and he still hit the over on strikeouts. He had a horrible day, still had over 5.5 strikeouts. So you can still have a bad day.
10.
The over. Yeah, the other day he had 10. Yes, he had 11 too. Another start.
Yep.
Insane.
ToddFather, we're going big.
All right,
I just saw your bet.
Listen. I'm big on trends. And that's, I look at numbers sometimes, and my question to you is, like, when trends are going, do you go more towards trends or numbers? But let me get mine out of the way first. I think Philadelphia is going to go on a run here, and they beat Alex Manoah last night, and I'm going a little higher than usual. I'm taking them to win by over 2.5 runs today at plus 280, and I'm putting 200 to win 560 if I recall.
Okay.
I'm a trendy guy. I'm going on trends, and I'm feeling Philadelphia is going to start going on a little run here.
Okay, I like that. What other trends do you like? Because sometimes trends, I look at who's like on a hitting streak or something like that. Those are the trends.
I'm a win streak guy. Like if the team's won 4 or 5 in a row, I'm going to ride them out until it starts going down. Like if they sweep a series, that next series, if they're playing at home again, I'm a guy. All right, they're playing at home. They just swept, like the Yankees are about to sweep the Oakland A's. If they play again at home against another series, I'm going to ride that wave until they go on the road, kind of deal, something like that.
Yeah, that's why I took Reds money line yesterday, and it hit. And I'm doing it again today. I'm doing Reds money line until the wheels come off because I do love the Mets, and that's kind of heartbreaking for me. But the Reds money line, I'm going with it till it doesn't hit.
You got to use your brain, not your heart. That's what I always tell people.
Okay, there you go.
Like we'll see what happens.
This is all flowing because Kratzy, what's your pick?
I'm going to fade the crap out of you, Lucy. I'm going the Mets money line because if the Mets don't turn it around, we've had so much Met talk today. I'm going -1.5 on the run line for the Mets because they have Justin Verlander. The young Reds lineup haven't faced him very much. They have up against Hunter Green, who's done well, a lot of strikeouts, but the Mets are top 4 in the league in 4-seam fastball, hard contact, and slider. The only 2 pitches that he's going to run out there, Hunter Green. So they might punch out a decent amount, but the Mets aren't punching out a lot, which is Hunter Green's entire MO. and JV is paid to be the stopper, he is going to be the stopper. And they started scoring some runs last night. So this is the day the Mets turn it around.
See, this is the kind of stuff. I'm glad I waited to put any money on the Reds because I might now switch it. After that analysis, I might switch to Mets money line. That was convincing. That was very convincing. And I might now switch to Mets money line because that would honestly make me happier too. And I like that.
Yeah, but listen, he throws over 100 miles an hour. Four-seam fastball is a four-seam fastball, but if they're throwing that hard, I don't know.
They actually have the 5th highest contact rate on pitches over 95 miles an hour.
Got me. Kratz came with
you're stoked on him right there.
Wow.
Lucy, you can't be I thought Lucy was a Red Sox fan. You can't be a Red Sox and a Mets fan.
Well, here's the thing. Not in 86.
Bill Buckner called.
Not then. Here's the thing. My mom grew up a Mets fan in New Jersey. My dad grew up a Red Sox fan in Rhode Island. So we do have a cassette tape that, not cassette, like a VHS of the 86 World Series that nobody watches ever. But it came with my mom, not my dad. So that was an issue. But my National League team is the Mets.
Listen, everything always reverts back to Jersey, which I love because you always talk to like somebody, hey, I'm from Jersey. Oh, I got an aunt or uncle. And I love it. Your mom's from Jersey. More respect to you. Appreciate that. Thanks.
Hell yeah. In Princeton. She grew up there. We used to go visit my grandma all the time.
Very nice. Very
Lucy,
nice.
before you do anything, you might have missed the graphic. I'm like 8 and 19, so just be careful. Last week I thought I had an automatic hit with Sean Manaea. He was coming out with I think it was like 4.5 K prop, and I went over because he's hit over 4.5 like 6 of his 7 starts, something like that. And he was facing a high strikeout team. He went 4.
That's the worst. So the 0.5 usually when that is there, it's called the hook. And when you lose by the hook, it is very devastating. That is just the worst. You have, say, over 5.5 strikeouts. Say that's the prop that happens to me frequently. And you look at the stat line at the end and it's 5 strikeouts. That is devastating. But then when it goes over, it's very nice. But when you lose by the hook, that's a tough one.
I'm not going to get hooked. I'm last. I'm not going to get hooked tonight because I got a flat number, okay? Mets, Reds, I'm going to that game with the run line, or not the run line, the total, is at 9 runs. So I got the under. Right. I think JV's gonna shove and stop. I agree. Hunter Green concerns me a little based off what Kratz says. I agree. High velo guy. My whole thing with Hunter Green is the more he uses his slider, the better. Because the fastball's still pretty flat. Like I know that's what he's been working on. So when he started mixing in his secondary stuff more last year, that's what changed things for me.
Even in the Great American Small Park?
Yeah, I mean, it's not 85 there yet. It'll be like, I think 70 degrees and start to dip down as the night continues. I'm all about it. I'm a big weather in Cincinnati guy. I understand that. But night game, I think I'll be okay. I don't like doing unders, 115 to win a hundo. There it is. I don't like doing unders because they're just not fun to root for, but I'm doing it tonight. I think Verlander's going to have a day.
This is a fantastic crop of locks, by the way. Love this. This looks clean across the board.
ToddFather really going for it.
Yeah,
I like it.
Hell
and it's Call Your Shot
line.
Wednesdays. We have one more thing to do here for existing BetMGM sports users. You place a $25 anytime MLB home run prop bet wager. Get a $10 bonus bet to use on any MLB game. And you can get this offer in 3 easy steps. You log into the BetMGM Sportsbook app on iOS or Android. Opt into the MLB Call Your Shot Wednesdays. Place a wager either as a pregame or live wager in the amount of at least $25, the minimum wager amount, on any MLB game. And then you get a $10 bonus bet to use on any MLB game. Always bet responsibly. Gambling problem or concern, call 1-800-GAMBLER. And my earpiece just fell out. But it's a very easy task here. So you lead the way here. Who's hitting a homer tonight, AJ, while I plug myself back in?
Well, since I went over in the Braves-Red Sox game, I got Matt Olson going deep. Bayo going to hang one of those change-ups, and Matt Olson's with his stance is going to go, whoop, bah!
Homered yesterday, right? Homer's many days.
Olsen.
Yeah. Okay, and that's at plus 300.
Plus 300, and maybe that's the only hit Bayo will give up in the whole game. And it will be just that one. And that would be great.
Well, no, he can get his 6 punchies, but he just needs to give up about 6 runs, and we'll be okay.
Sure, and maybe also the Red Sox will win. Just that one home run. Maybe
I don't care about that. I just
want
him to give up. Matt Olson, grand slam, Red Sox win. That's great. As long as they win 7-4, I don't really care.
Yep, true.
These bets could possibly hit. It all could be true.
We know who you have homering tonight.
Yeah, me, Shohei Ohtani. Shohei Ohtani
Hell
to
yeah.
hit a home run in 13 at-bats against tonight's Astros starter, Christian Javier. Shohei Ohtani has 4 hits, including 1 single, a triple, and 2 home runs already. So Shohei Ohtani is already pretty good odds to hit a home run. I saw this at plus 300. But when he has 2 home runs already against this pitcher, he knows what he's doing. The familiarity is there. He hasn't hit one since April 30th. So he is due, and I think he will get his first of the month here tonight against the Astros.
Beautiful.
Someone grab one. ToddFather.
I'm going Nick Castellanos. I'm sticking with Philly. At home, Gosman last outing wasn't so well, so I'm gonna just simple. He's gonna stay hot. He's having a great year so far. I'm sticking with him. He's gonna lift and separate one.
I like it. Went deep yesterday, and you're a long odds guy today. Plus 550. You're either gonna have a night or not with ToddFather tonight. But I like it. Kratzy, who's homering?
The polar bear. He's going to leave one of those. Hunter Green's going to throw more and more sliders. He's going to leave one slider, within the city of Cincinnati, and he's going to hit it out of the Great American Small Park.
I was looking at this one too. Yeah. As we said last time, vibes. It is a Pete Alonso day, vibes-wise. It is Shohei Ohtani.
Last time you had Pete Alonso vibes versus Shohei Ohtani vibes. You said you can't have them both, and now you have them both on the same day.
You can have them both while Mercury is in retrograde, which is for 4 more days.
Right,
so now you can.
That's right. I forgot about that.
I got a feeling on this one. Wilson Contreras, plus 500, homer.
And Cubby Bear?
Hell yeah. He's loving it. He's amped up. You heard Helsley today. He's amped up as hell. You can see it. So he's just missing a homer there. He's been hitting.
Love that.
The wind's blowing in wherever Contreras wants it right now.
No, he hit one the other night that he thought was gone and it didn't go out.
I know. That's why it's plus 500 for Contreras to homer. I got
pretty good value.
Lucy, I got a quick question for you. Do you ever try to chase the pluses like that? Like,
oh yeah.
I get scared of the pluses because it's like, I mean, I love the pluses, but then I'm like, oh shoot, why is it plus 140? Like this seems like an automatic hit.
Well, the pluses is where the money is, and that is where you can parlay pluses, and that's where you get even more money. But scared money doesn't make money, and there you go. So if the more pluses you bet, the more risk, but the more reward. I would say I don't want to tell you what to be scared of and what to not be scared of, but don't be scared of the pluses because sometimes the underdog is the winner, of course, and that's where you really make the money. So I'd see your deficit go down and your winnings go up the more pluses you bet on.
Yeah. Hey, ToddFather's all about those pluses.
By the way, the wind's blowing out
pluses
to
and
left
trends.
at 8 miles an hour tonight in Wrigley.
That's good.
I know. I'm just saying it's blowing out to left.
Feeling better now?
Yeah. I just check the wind. You always check the wind.
Check the wind. Feeling good about it. Lucy, thank you so much. Good to see you. We'll see you again soon.
See you soon. Good luck to everybody.
Hey, wait. Before she goes, when does Mercury get out of retrograde? Because it's been in retrograde for like a month.
14th of May, which is Sunday. So thank God. The 15th of May, everyone's bets hit.
Good.
Okay.
All right.
Fair.
Bet in the house on the 15th. Thanks, Lucy. We'll talk to you
Thank
soon.
you, guys. See you soon.
Cheers. Good stuff. All right. Good luck on your bets tonight, too, for all of us. And let's slap hands. Just wrote in the
Ring
chat.
around the rosy. Oh, Pittsburgh's losing again. The Pirates.
Didn't you say earlier in the show? They're up 1-0.
Well, they were up 3-0 actually. Now they're losing.
Is that bases loaded with my terrible eyesight that I see over there?
Yes. Rich Hill.
Okay. Dick Mountain. So we have a lot to do in Slap Hands. I think it's the earliest we've ever gotten to Slap Hands. 2:53 Eastern. Proud of us. I want Kratzy to start because he sent us a picture in the group text last night of the linesman having some issues.
Stop it.
Do not drink in line. Oh my gosh. If you're listening to the podcast, you need to catch the end of this show on YouTube. You need to. That's not real.
Time out. the shadow, he even cut the outside of the grass too to make it look. Oh my God! Wow, man, that's
It
phenomenal.
looks like a road map, like of a mountain in Colorado. Zig and zag.
It looked like it looked like one of the prospects getting called up to go play left field and go chase fly balls that he's normally a third baseman. Just go play left field. Just go run after it.
That's great.
Oh, man. But the other picture that I sent was home plate. And home plate, the batter's boxes, instead of being in the middle of home plate, they were out in front. So the foul line connected to the back of home plate. But it connected halfway through the batter's box.
Oh man, that's too much, man.
But it was sent to me by Wayne Benner, the head coach of the softball team at the school where at Doc Academy, and he won his 250th game yesterday. So congratulations to him. But he sent me that picture.
He won because everything was off. That's why he won.
He put it.
That's home field advantage for sure.
He put it at the bottom. He said game day, and he sent that picture.
That's not okay. That is not okay.
Hopefully they were on the road, right? No, it's not your home field.
Oh, I don't know. It doesn't matter.
Awkward.
You down here, knowing like the friggin' clubhouse that AJ's a part of.
Oh, right.
Coaches. That you go to prison if you have lines like that.
No,
you get booted. Are there fields with lines
Not
like that? Not like that.
that.
That could go viral. That's bad. That should not be allowed for a real game of any kind, of any age.
I just want to know who did that and said, they stand there and they look at the foul and they say, that looks right. That's what I usually see.
This one right here, it went like.
You just move on.
Perfect.
You know who did that? The same person who designed Great Britain's uniforms in the WBC and said, true. That's it. That's the one.
Nailed it.
Okay, Todd, you're next.
Yes. Are we going to shoot this video first? I would love to shoot it while I'm talking. Josh Allen, absolute phenomenal quarterback for the Bills, hitting absolute tanks in this softball home run derby, it looks like here. That's in where's that? In Buffalo. Buffalo Bison, yeah. Hitting absolute cranks. I'm gonna fire off some stats while he's swinging here, so this doesn't make any sense to me. He actually went to Fireball Eagles High School. His 87 games played in high school. 352 average, 421 on base percentage. Hold on here. 81 runs scored, 99 hits, 8 triples. Now, hear me out here. He had 0 tanks in high school, so he must have been a punch and Judy hitter in high school. That's the only thing I can think about it. And, oh, man, just absolute mammo swings right there. I don't see the punch and Judy in that swing. That one didn't get out. But he is in an absolute mammos. But 0 tanks in high school? Come on, man. I'm lost.
You looked at the swing. I mean, that's his A swing.
That's a big dude. He's big. He was little, though, because if you remember about Josh Allen, he wasn't recruited out of high school very much. Remember, he went junior college and he played at like Wyoming, I think.
He did.
So he wasn't. So I'm assuming he was probably about this big around and probably not as tall. And then he went to college and they were like, hey, this is how you lift weights and you eat. And then you become this monster of a dude in the NFL. And that swing, that was a good softball swing. He's got the softball swing down.
Yeah.
Ferocious.
Those are some
leg kicks.
I played there. Vinny Pascucci is the only one. Valentino Pascucci is the only one putting the ball over that net right there. That net is high, and it's saving cars from just getting mollywopped. And he was going over the net with a softball. Woof.
Him and Juan Francisco going opposite field. That guy could hit him out anywhere.
Juan Francisco.
Yes. Juan
Monster.
Francisco, Willie Mopena, Franchi Cordero.
Yes.
Ellie De La Cruz.
Jeff Manto. I saw Jeff Manto retired number there in that shot, too.
Jeff Manto, Bristol, PA's finest. Yeah, that guy would get cut from a team, and then he would go and sign with Buffalo and play in AAA and get a little extra cash. But he would always come back and play for Buffalo. He's the greatest Buffalo Bison player of all time.
All right, so ready for mine? So it's so timely because it's a live show. Mookie Betts is at the dish right now with the bases loaded. His team is absolutely crushing Milwaukee. Again, it's 7-1 at the moment. So here's the tweet. He would not stay in Milwaukee's haunted Pfister Hotel, instead opted for renting an Airbnb. Bill Plunkett, Orange County Register. So he does that. And what does he do yesterday? 2 pitches in, dinger, team wins. That is a winning move because that hotel's weird. Because people were all asking that don't know about the Pfister, like, oh, they're ghosts or whatever. And Mookie was basically like, no, just creaky and noisy and weird. So he just wants to stay in a normal place. It's by far the weirdest hotel situation, I would say. That's like in the rotation where people stay, where teams stay. You're looking at me like I'm crazy. I mean, for me,
there's more than one haunted hotel in the big leagues. There's a place in St. Pete called the Vinoy that is also famously haunted.
And players still stay there?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Listen, that Pfister has some monster pancakes, bro. Some of the best I've had on the road.
They're like, yeah. Oh. That was where the Jim Rome interview happened, too. That got me the call from Bud Selig that we talked about.
Was in Milwaukee?
It was in the Pfister, yeah.
Pfister? Yeah. Weird shit goes down there. I mean, Kratz played in Milwaukee. My thing just was, because I stayed there probably 3-4 times, and then we actually spoke to some of our travel people, and we're like, is there anything else there? It's old and it's noisy because it's creaky and it hasn't really been renovated as far as I can see.
It's only the one side
I'm a light
of the
sleeper.
hotel.
I can't sleep there.
It's only one side of the hotel. If you're the guy that gets the in your contract, you get the suites, that's the side that you're in trouble. And if you're on the other side, you're good.
I'm a suites guy, you know.
Of course,
it's in my contract.
I'm not talking about
nice
candy
hotels.
either. I'm not talking about candy suites. I'm talking about a suite
No,
room.
I know it's in my contract because AJ was calling me out at the beginning of the show. Like, I didn't play. It's in my contract. Not my playing contract, my broadcast contract. Just want to be clear,
we
broadcaster.
Had this happen. No, everyone says it's not haunted. And I always, when you sent this in the text thread, I said I always ask for the haunted room, and I never got it, which I did. I'd be like, I want the haunted room, and they're in the Vinoy. I'd say, I want the haunted room. I want to talk to the ghost. I want the ghost to come see me. Never happened.
How'd that go?
We had a coach, and damn ghost never came. I want to talk ball. 3 a.m, wake me up. We can chat all night. We had a coach though when I was in Minnesota. Jerry White was our first base coach. He comes in. We stay at the Pfister. He's tired. And we're like, Jerry, what happened? He's like, I had a ghost last night. I'm like, what? I said, yeah, I woke up in the middle of the night and I was like this in my bed, and the sheets were tight on me and I couldn't move. And I woke up and I couldn't move. And I said, what did you drink last night? And he said, nothing, I swear. And all the lights were on. The TV was on. I said, so you passed out under the covers? He said, no, I swear I turned all the lights off. The TV was off. And there was someone on my chest. I couldn't move. And all of a sudden I said, help. And I got up and I woke up and got up. I'm like, what? You're crazy. There's no way. And that's the story that everyone tells. You wake up and all your lights are on. But one time we pranked, I think it was Jace Peterson. We went to Milwaukee and Johnny Gomes, he was scared to death of them. I had dudes that didn't stay there. They would go to, like Adrian Beltre wouldn't stay there. He went to a different hotel. Nope, no thank you. And Jace Peterson was scared to death of ghosts. So they snuck into his room middle of the night and they wrote stuff on his mirror in the bathroom and somehow got the lights to go on and off. Out of the hotel, middle of the night.
No shit.
Oh yeah.
He checked out in the middle of the night. You guys didn't tell him?
No, I didn't even a part of it. I didn't hear about it until the next day.
Wow.
They wrote like in lipstick on the mirror, like, oh, I don't know.
So it's the prank hotel at this point. It's a perfect setup hotel.
Yeah.
There's so many nicer places to stay. Like, let's be honest. Milwaukee's got some really cool places to stay. The beds aren't even that comfortable there. Like, no, there's no ghosts in there. But, like, don't give me a big old feather bed. Like, give me something nice. Like, something more contemporary. A little more space. Like, no, don't. Stop.
Could not agree more. That was my number one thing. I was like, why? I don't get it here. It's just weird. It doesn't fit the rest of what we're staying in. I don't need super bougie. I just want like a normal place. Like you can Marriott Hilton kind of situation all day. Like that's fine. That's good. I just didn't understand why then you get to Milwaukee and you're like, what is this? I'm in Amish country or something. It's weird. So Kratz hats, what do you got?
I think it's nice. Pfister, if you want to give me a free room, I love it.
Who's got the sirens? Who's got the sirens?
That's me. I got to get out of here. So.
Yeah. Well, we got to go. Kratz hats, finish up.
The last New Haven Ravens hat I found. So you can tell I used to wear this thing when I would work in the off season because I was like, well, I'm never playing again after playing in that stadium. But New Haven Ravens, the home field. It's luscious. It's what old school guys, true old school guys like me and AJ know about.
And, and the name rhymes, which is great. Just like Scherzer tying it all back. I'm trying like hell not to join the IL.
That doesn't rhyme.
It's close though.
It does in Scott's world.
Yeah. You know who's joining us tomorrow? Freddie Peralta, Mr. Smiles, and Zach Gallen, Cy Young candidate, swinging by FT Live. Good stuff today, boys. See you Thursday.